Hey, everybody, and welcome to Adapt or Perish. In this episode, we are celebrating the release of a new Superman movie with a look back at every major big and small screen adaptation of The Man of Steel released since 1941. But before we look up in the sky, let's talk about our next episodes. First, our next Adapt or Perish mini. So Greek mythology has been tackled on screen many times, but it's not often that an attempt makes an impression the way 1981's Clash of the Titans did. For years, people have loved the classic throwback to the works of effects legends like Ray Harryhausen, with creature effects created by, let me check my notes, Ray Harryhausen. Don't even get me started on Harry Hamlin's jawline. It's amazing. The man's chiseled from granite. We'll be discussing the original movie and the 2010 blockbuster remake starring Sam Worthington and Liam Neeson. You know it. It's the one where Liam Neeson releases the Kraken. That'll be out in 2 weeks on Tuesday, August 5th. Then, in our next regular episode, we're heading to court. I guess, more specifically, we're heading to the jury room for a tale of men. 12 of them. You may ask, how are they feeling? Well, I'll tell you, they've been better. Originally a 1954 television play, 12 Angry Men was famously adapted for the big screen in 1957 in the classic movie directed by Sidney Lumet and starring Henry Fonda. Then in 1997, it went back to TV, but this time directed by delightful curmudgeon William Friedkin and starring like a heck of a cast, including Jack Lemmon, Edward James Olmos, Michael T. Williamson, Courtney B. Vance, James Gandolfini, George C. Scott, my God, Tony Danza, everybody. We'll be discussing all three versions and more, and that'll be out in a month on Tuesday, August 19th. To find out about upcoming episodes of Adapt or Perish and general show announcements, head to our Patreon page where you can join for free to stay up to date. For more information, check it out at patreon.com/adaptcast or head over to our website, adaptorperishcast.com. Oh, and make sure you stay all the way to the end of this episode for a special little surprise. And with that, on with the show, Adapt or Perish, episode 170, Superman. Hello and welcome to Adapt or Perish, a podcast about adaptation. I'm Jeremy Latour.
And I'm Ian Averill. And today we're talking about Superman.
That's right. And we're both super happy about it. Are you happy?
Oh, I'm extremely happy about it.
Yeah?
I love Superman just like you do. I'm not super excited about not being able to talk for several hours at a time about every single one of these.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
I really feel like you're cutting me off at the knees, and I'll never forgive you for it. But we got a show to make.
I also have a lot that I'm going to want to talk about. Hello, everybody. My name's Jeremy, and I love Superman.
He does.
Superman's my guy. I am so excited to do this, and this is not what we normally do on the show. I feel like the closest thing we've done to it on the show is when Ari and I did Sherlock Holmes, because that was really more of like an exploration of the character being adapted than it was any particular story. And that's what we're doing today.
Yes, we're not like talking about the comic as the source material. I mean, I'm sure it'll come up when talking about each of these, but we're not like first treating the comic Superman as the first thing.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't think we're going to do quadrants this episode. I think that's just a little too hard to do.
Yeah.
Because so many of these are so weird. But I wanted to talk about Superman. And I wanted to talk about all of the Supermans.
And one Superboy.
Yes. Who is a man?
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
It's Superman.
It's really stupid.
Oh, we're going to get to it. We're going to talk about it.
All right. I don't know if people know this about Superman, but Krypton, planet, exploded. They sent their last, the Jor-El and Lara. They sent their baby to Earth. He was raised by farmers. His name is Clark Kent. And really, he's Superman. And he has powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. He can move super fast. He's really strong. He can jump over buildings and fly. He's got a girlfriend, Lois Lane. He's got a pal, Jimmy Olsen. They work for Perry White. He's got a guy who hates him. That's Lex Luthor.
There's a whole cast of characters.
Yeah, there's this rock that kills him.
used to be pieces of Krypton.
What's that kryptonite stuff called? We could go off on the comics for a really, really long time, but we're not going to do that.
An incredible history.
Although I do think it would be fun to talk about kind of our personal history with the character and how we got into the comics, but maybe we can do that later. So just to give everybody an idea of what we're doing today and what the structure is going to be, we are going to be talking about, as much as we can, every version of Superman that has been on screen since 1941.
Mm-hmm.
So starting in 1941 with the Fleischer animated shorts, all the way up until the new Superman movie, which as of this recording opened 2 days ago.
Yep.
I've seen it twice already.
I've seen it once.
But you're seeing it again on Tuesday, right?
Correct. I'm excited.
It's really good.
Yeah, we love the new movie.
But we'll talk about how it's really good later.
Mm-hmm.
But just in case anyone's like, what do these guys think of the new Superman movie? That's what we think of it. It's really good, and we really like it, and we can't wait to talk about it.
We are pro.
So how do we talk about this? Because, I want to talk about all the screen versions, and that's really easy to do if we're just doing movies, but we're not just doing movies, we're doing TV shows too. And Smallville ran for 10 seasons. Mm-hmm. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, that ran for 4. The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves from the 50s, that ran for 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do? Are we going to watch all of them? No, we're not going to watch all of them. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be talking about every new introduction of the character in a new version.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we're really judging people based on their first shot.
Yeah.
Maybe a show got better after the first episode. We're not judging the good show after the first episode. We're judging the first episode. Maybe the show got really bad after the first episode. Well, we're just judging the first episode, and I'm sure the creators would be very happy about that.
They're like, yes.
Yeah.
I've always only wanted to be judged by the pilots I've made.
So we're going to be talking about a lot of pilots and a lot of movies, but like Christopher Reeve, for example, we're talking about 1978, but we're not going to be talking about Superman 2 or Superman 3 or Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. No Richard Pryor in this episode.
Too bad. I'm kidding. 3 is the worst one.
Is 3 the worst one? I thought 4 was the worst one.
I watched them all recently, and just in my opinion, I think that 4 ends up being slightly better than 3. 3 is just so boring.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, how can it be boring? It's Superman and Richard Pryor. And you're like, the Richard Pryor stuff is so boring.
Yeah.
It's criminal.
But anyway, as I was saying, we're not here to talk about Superman 3.
Now let's talk about 2 real quick. Let's talk about the Richard Donner cut. Okay.
No, we're not talking about the Richard Donner cut. We're going to be talking about them all chronologically, but we're going to be doing something we don't normally do, which is a tier list. Because people love a tier list. And that's the only way we can do this, because I want to rank them, but there's no way to rank this many. Tier lists are fantastic for this.
Let me ask you this, because I did not ask it before we started recording.
Uh-huh.
Are we placing these on tier that we come to some kind of consensus on?
There has to be consensus, yes.
Okay, there has to be consensus. Okay,
yeah.
This might get vicious.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it will.
No, probably not.
But here's the thing. There's 2 of us, so we each get a vote.
Yeah.
I'm the leader, so I get the tiebreaker.
I see. Yes, a real consensus. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. That, by the way, is a reference to the new Superman movie in theaters now, which, by the way, is really good.
Yeah,
so,
it's fantastic.
I want to explain to everybody how a tier list works. And there is a video. If you're watching a video version of this will be easier, but the audio version should still be fine. If anyone has never seen a tier list before, it's basically a better way of doing a ranked list of something. Because if you've got a ton of things to rank, you get really in the weeds about is this one better than this particular one? I don't know. These ones are almost the same, but is one slightly better than the other? The way a tier list works is there's generally going to be about 6 tiers. And there's letter grade ones, so A, B, C, D, and F. Mm-hmm. And then there's also S tier, which there's never been a more appropriate time to have an S tier.
Indeed.
And a tier list, they started with ranking video game characters, I think. I think it came from the world of video games.
The ranking systems of A through F and then S being the top is a video game thing.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to be using that for soups here. And we're just going to be popping them in.
Yeah.
There's no need for us to say any background on Superman. There's no need to say he was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster in 1938 and first appeared in Action Comics #1.
What else is there no need to say?
You know what? I will say one thing here at the beginning. I once said this on a bonus show a long time ago, but I'll go ahead and say it now. Superman is not Space Jesus. He is Space Moses. And that is the final word on that.
So you were going to talk about your history with the character.
Yeah. So I started reading comics in like the late 80s, early 90s. And in the late 80s, I was reading a lot of Batman. But then in the early 90s, this really amazing thing happened, which if people don't know much about comics, and certainly like American superhero comics in the 90s, this might sound like a weird way to get into Superman for the first time, but Superman died.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an amazing in.
Yes, it was the way that a lot of people got into him.
So in 1990, 92, 93?
Yeah, I think so.
Superman died. He fought a guy named Doomsday,
Mm-hmm.
and Doomsday killed him, but it's okay because he came back. And then once he came back, I was just in it for like the next 10 years. Also in 1993, Lois and Clark came out. And then in 1996, the Superman the Animated Series came out. The mid-90s were a really fun time to be a Superman fan because it was like I wasn't there in 1978 to be a Superman fan. I've heard that was also good.
Yeah, no, that's what I understand. But yeah, the mid-90s, he was everywhere except for a major motion picture, which they couldn't get their shit together to do.
No.
But in every other way, he was everywhere.
And there's a lot of great stuff after the year 2002. I kind of got out of reading the weekly comics after that. I just wanted to mention there are like two particular books that if anyone is looking to read a Superman comic that hasn't really read a lot of Superman comics, one of them is called Superman Birthright, which is a retelling of Superman's origin that was written by Mark Waid. Came out 20 years ago now, because I'm old. And the other one is called Superman's Secret Identity, which was written by Kurt Busiek.
Yep.
They are my two favorite Superman stories ever. And you don't have to know anything. One of them's technically not even about Superman, but it's more complicated than that. that was my start with it. What about you?
Well, I think that at this point in my life, he is equal amount my guy as he is to you. But it was not always that way.
No.
I never disliked him. I wasn't ever one of those people that was like, he's boring, I don't like him.
Yeah.
I nothinged him for like a long time.
You never liked how woke he was. That was my understanding.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what I always said to you back 25 years ago, right? But we have very different comic reading histories.
I feel really bad that I made that joke and didn't also specify woke Superman is good Superman. Like that's
yes, he is.
Superman is hella woke, and that's a feature, not a bug. Anyway, go on.
So I liked comics, but you were like buying and reading your own comics before me. I was just kind of like every now and then, getting like a random trade from some bookstore or something.
By the way, a trade paperback is when they collect a number of issues of a comic into a larger book.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep having to say stuff for you to define. Basically, right when you started getting away from comics is where I kind of took over.
Yeah.
And reading different things that you ever did. But then I also eventually got so into all comics that I was reading Superman as well, almost all the way to 2010. That's when my collecting stopped, was around then.
Because getting comics, by the way, is expensive.
Especially if you have completionist issues.
Yeah.
But basically, after all this time, I am as much of a Superman fan as you are. I love the character. And the reason that I got as into it as I was because of you. Because you talking to me about Superman when I wasn't reading it and you were, or, when we were hanging out a lot was like, I think a couple years after you'd already really stopped reading. But you talking about those runs and me getting into it and then getting into the character myself and talking about Superman media as it was coming out with you. And like, that is what has molded me into the Superman fan that I am now. So I credit you with that.
Thank you.
I love the stories that you described, particularly Birthright.
I met Mark Waid once at a convention. I asked him to sign my copy of Birthright. He's written many, many different things.
Yeah.
I said to him, this is my favorite thing you've written. And as he was signing it, he just went like, well, yeah, I mean, it's the best thing I've ever written. It's like, yeah, heck yeah.
And so I also love Birthright and Secret Identity. There are certainly other big formative texts for me, namely, I mentioned it already, or maybe I didn't if Jeremy cut it out, Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman.
Yeah.
Which is a big, cool story that is kind of confusing to unexperienced because it kind of just like takes everything of like classic Silver Age Superman and kind of, smudges it together into one little story.
There you go again. What is the goddamn Silver Age?
Sorry,
So
everybody.
just so everybody knows,
I think everyone can glean that it is a certain age of the comics. Like, what's the big deal?
but which one and for how long? There's roughly like 3 different ages, and other people have tried to break it down more. But there's basically the Golden Age, the Silver Age, and the Modern Age. The Golden Age was like the first few decades of comics, and that was like when Superman was introduced in the 30s and Batman and everything. And then in like the 50s, 60s, 70s,
Late 50s, early 60s, I feel like was the Silver Age start.
Then like comics got weird and they got really big, really sci-fi, just big, colorful, crazy stuff. And that was the Silver Age. Then in like the 80s, comics entered the Modern Age, and that's suddenly that's where all the companies were like reinventing the characters and getting dark and gritty and starting things over again. And we'll come back to some of that in a little bit, but those are roughly the ages. The versions of Superman that we're going to talk about, so many of them are a product of the age that the comics were in at that time. Like we're coming at this from like modern age readers because we are. And the Golden Age and the Silver Age, I will just speaking for me, those stories don't mean as much to me as they would from people who were kids at that time.
But then it's also funny is that like, you know, a lot of the stuff that we love from the Modern Age is just a like homage to the Silver Age or, you know, or other ones, you know, it's all cyclical.
Yeah. But if we say Silver Age, like Silver Age means, I've always thought that Silver Age means like big, weird sci-fi type stuff. And Modern Age means grounded and realistic and gritty. And Golden Age just means like
how to describe it? Really hokey.
Super hokey. Yeah, no, Golden Age means hokey.
Yeah.
So enough preamble.
Yeah.
Let's amble.
What do we got first?
So our journey starts in 1941 with the animated short Superman, aka The Mad Scientist. It was directed by Dave Fleischer from Fleischer Studios, story by Seymour Neidl and Isidore Sparber, and it starred Bud Collyer as Clark and Joan Alexander as Lois. I think a lot of people think about the Fleischer animated Superman as being like one of the greatest cartoons of all time and like one of the perfect interpretation of the character. You know, would you agree that that's generally the consensus around the Fleischer shorts?
Yes, I would agree that's generally the consensus. Yeah,
we didn't watch all of them, but we did rewatch that first one, The Mad Scientist. There were a number of shorts
which I've seen before.
Yeah, I'd seen them all. Like one of the crazy things about them is that they're public domain at this point, and so you can get them anywhere. In any level of quality. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it wherever you want to, because no one owns it.
I think that I first saw them because they're like included in that big Superman box set that came out around Superman Returns.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time I saw them, and that was cool. But then I just realized that like anyone could just put them on any DVD release. So like there's the special features in a lot of Superman related media, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you think about this one?
It is great. Namely the animation is what's so incredible about it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch. There's a classic image in that first episode of him being hit with a big death ray and flying up, you know, tracing it back to the source of the barrel of the big death ray and punching the beam, you know, over and over again.
He punches the beam so many times because you can punch a laser. Just punching lasers. What a guy.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything terrible about like the plot, except that there just isn't much like anything like this you're going to have. There isn't much of one. Like, it's just like, bad guys doing this, you know, Superman's going to go stop him. You know, these are very short.
I feel like what I've gotten from, you know, watching decades of it is, you know, originally Superman was this like the adolescent power fantasy. Like, I want to be able to stop the bad guys. Yeah. But he wasn't much of a character.
Right.
Like, he didn't really have an inner life. Like, Superman did good because he's Superman.
Yeah.
Here's a basic question that for me comes up in every single version. Sometimes it's handled well, sometimes it's handled badly, and sometimes it's not handled at all. Why does Superman wear glasses and a suit and work at the Daily Planet as reporter Clark Kent?
Are you asking me directly?
No, I'm because there's no one answer to it. Like there's kind of the basic answer I would say is, well, he wants to know what's going on in the world.
That was I feel like that was like, it maybe not the original, but the very earliest agreed upon reason is that he wanted to like work at a newspaper so that he'd know all the biggest disasters the fastest.
Yeah, and well, in order for him to have a secret identity, he needs a disguise. So, like, that's one of the earliest things is Superman, who disguised as mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Yes, his disguise is just glasses. I don't care. Like, people can...
Yeah. Everyone needs to get over it.
Everyone really needs to get over it because it works. So, like, I think we've come up with some good reasons why. But honestly, for a lot of these, the reason why he works at the Daily Planet, I think is just, well, because Clark works at the Daily Planet. Okay, but why is he Clark? Well, because Superman is Clark Kent. That's as much thought as they're willing to put into it.
Yeah.
That, to me, is not enough. So in this one, I would say it's one of those ones where they don't really do anything to explain it.
They don't really have the time.
I feel like let's get straight to trying to rank this one because I enjoy it. Like, I think it's good. I think the music is amazing.
Yep.
I don't love the animation as much as so many people do. I think with so much Fleischer stuff, an individual frame looks beautiful, but I've never liked the motion in any of them. There's something really off about the motion, about the movement of all the characters in it.
The motion, I feel like the motion is one of the things that I like.
It's very quick. Like, if Superman's doing a thing where it's like very, very action packed, I think that looks great. But any scene where a character is just standing and talking, it looks really weird to me. I don't love it.
Well, I mean, I'm only thinking of the actiony stuff.
Maybe, or I could be wrong too. But let's choose where to put this seminal piece of Superman media on our tier list. What's your gut tell you?
I think it belongs in either B or A.
Yeah?
It's seminal. You're right.
It is.
That goes a long way.
It is. Like, I think it works. I think it sounds good. It does it well. I'd put it in B.
Yeah.
Because we could always change things around later if we want to, but I'm going to go ahead.
That's why I said it first.
This one. Yeah. That works for me.
That works for me too, because it's important and it's very good, but like important alone doesn't go to A or S for me. So
no, it has to be also like very successful to go up there to those,
and also like very loved by me.
Yes.
Like...
All right, so let's move on to the next one. 1948. So this was a movie serial. So it was directed by Spencer Gordon Bennett and Thomas Carr, written by Louis Clay, Royal K. Cole, Arthur Hurl, George H. Plimpton, and Joseph F. Poland. It's very long, so it had a lot of writers. And it starred Kirk Allen as Clark Kent and Noelle Neal as Lois Lane. She would come back to play Lois further. Both of them would make cameos in later ones.
Yeah, she's an all-timer Lois Lane.
This was a serial, so it was in theaters in short, like 10, 15-minute chunks over the course of weeks. But you can watch it now in one movie. Yeah. And that movie is like 3.5 hours long.
Almost 4, I think.
When we watched the whole thing, because they made it as one thing, so we watched the whole thing.
I did not watch it all in one sitting, but yes.
No, neither did I. That's crazy. The thing that is clearer to me than anything, my biggest takeaway from the entire experience of watching this, because I'd never watched the whole thing all the way through, this is the wrong way to watch it. The best way to watch it is in 10 to 15-minute chunks in 1948.
Yeah, the best way to watch it is as serialized episodes, but in 1948, where any of the stuff on screen is blowing your mind.
Right.
But not as even as episodes or a whole movie now, because it's, as a person now, oh boy. Man, yeah, this thing is
yeah, this has some stuff going for it, but a lot of it is rough. Like, I think it's really compelling at the beginning, the stuff with Krypton.
Yeah, it's really cool to see like an old like something this old do the Krypton origin, you know?
Yeah. So we meet Jor-El and we meet Lara and we see them put him in the ship and we see Krypton blow up and we see the Council of Kryptonians telling Jor-El, "This planet's fine. What are you talking about?" We all just bought boats. We can't wait to use our boats.
I gotta tell you, it's so funny to me how like this was made in the 40s and they were only just starting to produce a lot of like sci-fi stuff like this. To the point where like, you know, yeah, there's the sci-fi origins and this is, but then, you know, it just kind of turns into a crime story because what they were mostly producing then were like crime and gangster stories. I feel like, and other stuff, but that was like, that was a huge thing. And I feel like it
could have just as easily turned into a Western.
Exactly.
Because they were making a lot of those too.
I feel like the gangster and crime pools of talent were what they were mostly drawing from They show Superman's dad, Jor-El, trying to convince the council of an alien planet that their planet's about to blow up and they've got to do something or they got to evacuate. And the Council of Krypton is just a bunch of like mustachioed guys.
Yeah.
Who are like, now look here, Jor-El, the planet's not going to blow up. No way. It's just very funny to me that it's just a bunch of like guys who would probably just be, small bit parts in gangster movies.
I mean, I feel like it, like probably when Marlon Brando got cast in 78, he was like, you're casting me because of Guys and Dolls, right? Like, this is what you want me to do.
Yeah. And he was right.
I mean, that would have been great.
Yeah, no.
But this one started strong, but then it lost me. When they tell his origin, he's like a little kid, and then they show him as a teenager.
Oh, the teenager one sucks.
Yeah. And then he's an adult, and like him as an adult is just Clark Kent in his suit with his glasses on.
Nothing else has changed about his like farmer parents, but they just like, and then he grew to manhood and it shifts and it's just he's just like in their house sitting at the table eating breakfast in a suit.
I hate it. And then his parents immediately die.
Yeah.
And he leaves to go to Metropolis to be Superman. So, okay, we're burying the lead because the big thing about this one is the villain.
Yeah.
This is the first time Superman has ever been done in live action. Who's the villain going to be? It's obviously going to be Lex Luthor, right?
Right. Yeah, of course.
Which is why it's so surprising that it's the Spider Lady. She's a crime boss and an evil genius. She's on the radio a lot with her henchmen, who are just a bunch of guys that look like they all look like they could have been in Guys and Dolls for some reason.
They all look like could have been the Elder Council of Krypton.
Yeah, really, it's kind of funny. And the Spider Lady, she's like got a slinky dress on and stuff like that. And she's very arch.
Whenever she's introduced, she's posing in front of a spider web up against her wall.
Yeah, she's not literally a Spider Lady. She's a lady. No. She's way more lady than Spider.
Yeah,
like almost entirely. There's no part of her that is Spider. She's 100% lady. But I just want to talk about how much of an evil genius she is, because she runs this big secret criminal network, and she talks to her henchmen while they're driving around a lot on the radio, and they got to have code names because she's not going to get on the radio and say Spider Lady to Car 4, Spider Lady to Car 4, like, because then everyone will hear it. You know?
It's ridiculous.
So her code name is SL.
SL the Car 4. SL the Car 4.
It is my favorite thing ever. It's my favorite thing in this and every other version of Superman.
It'll be going in S tier purely for that.
Yeah, no, that's really bad. The thing about the Spider Lady is this goes back to the thing we were saying at the beginning, that like this doesn't work as a movie. It would have worked as a serial because it just repeats itself so much. And when you watch it all in one sitting, you realize every episode is kind of the same. There's like this one stool pigeon that Lois always goes to. Well, they go to him a lot in the same alley over and over again. And there's a lot of going back and forth. We're going to leave Metropolis and go out to the desert. Then we're going to go back to Metropolis, then to the desert, then back to Metropolis. Now we're going to go do this. Oh, now we're on a truck. Now we're in a car. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then it ends. It like clearly serialized is the way to do this. I guess I only have two things. Like, Lois gets knocked out a lot, and that kind of goes along with that as well. Like, if they have to knock out Lois in every episode, if you watch it all in one go, you're going to start to worry about her.
Well, sure.
That's too many times to get knocked out. Kirk Allen's pretty good, though.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He was better than I expected.
Noelle Neal, like, it's just that her like mid-Atlantic accent is so cool. I think she's real good, and her voice, she just sounds so cool.
She sounds pretty cool. I like her.
I like the sound of her voice.
But Kirk Allen, like he's like bigger and more strapping than I remembered him being, and he's got good eye acting whenever he does like the X-ray vision. They do the extreme close up. But like I dug his Superman and I dug his Clark. Like he had a really cool Clark that I liked.
Yeah, he had takes on them. That's what's important. Like, because some people don't.
Yeah.
So,
but where do we put this?
Where are we going to put this?
I tell you where I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'll probably agree.
This is feeling D to me.
Yeah.
Like it's rough. It's really rough.
It's got some. Yeah. It's got one or two interesting things, and that's it.
So that brings us to 1951. Now this is a weird one because George Reeves, he's on here twice because George Reeves is the actor who played Superman in The Adventures of Superman, which was a show that ran from 1952. I think it ran for 6 seasons. There was a pilot done, but it wasn't a pilot as far as a TV episode goes. It was a movie in theaters, but it was clearly done as a test run for a show.
Yeah.
So the production values are like TV level production values. So in 1951, there was Superman and the Mole Men.
Yeah.
Then in 1952, there was the first episode of Adventures of Superman. So I think we should talk about both, and we'll rank both. So let's start with Superman and the Mole Men. It was directed by Lee Sholem, written by Robert Maxwell and Whitney Ellsworth, and it starred, as I said, George Reeves as Clark and Phyllis Coates as Lois. And it is a story about a mine, and they're drilling, and they drilled too deep, and it's hollow where they go down. And there's literally a scene where Clark says to someone, "You mean the center of the earth is hollow?" And the response is, "Well, is there any other explanation?" And my thought was just, there's so many explanations. And they're, investigating this whole thing that's been shut down all of a sudden. And it turns out that, there's little people that come out of the hole, and they are the Mole Men.
It's insinuated that there's a whole society in the center of the earth of mole men. We never get to see this, of course.
No, we don't.
We just get to see them climbing out of the hatch of the mine.
What is this?
Yeah.
Like, I still cannot get over the fact that the launch of George Reeves' entire run as Superman, which lasted years, and to so many people, he is Superman. It all started with Superman and the Mole Men.
Yeah. It's interesting how they keep launching Superman stuff in the early days without any iconic characters other than Superman and Lois Lane.
Yeah.
There are a couple bright spots in this, but it is mostly I made a note that Superman in costume does not appear for 25 minutes.
Yep.
Which is a long time considering that this is a shorter,
it's like an hour,
old-timey movie. So that's crazy.
Yeah. So can I say another thing about timing, about how they choose to spend their time? You're right. Superman does not show up for quite a while. He also, when he shows up, it's nothing. It's the least dramatic appearance. This is this actor's first time on screen dressed as Superman, and it's nothing. Yeah. And it's the most casual scene there could possibly be. But another thing that they do as far as timing is there is a chase scene in it. There's an angry mob that wants to kill the Mole Men. And there's a chase where the mob is chasing one of them. And it's 10 minutes long. The chase scene that does not involve Lois or Clark, either as Clark or as Superman, they are gone from the plot for 10 minutes, an entire sixth of this movie is just an angry mob chasing a very tired and scared mole man, and it is hard to watch.
Yeah. That kind of connects to I'm going to say one thing that I liked about this one.
Yeah.
The message is good. The whole thing of this one is that, Clark is the only person being these people are just see, strange creatures come out of a hole in the earth and they want to chase them down and murder them. Clark is the one person being they haven't done anything. We drilled into their world. Basically the whole time he's just trying to stop an angry mob.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and say this. I would put this in F if it wasn't for one line.
Yeah. Which is
Superman's real mad at the angry mob who are chasing the Mole Men. And he says, "Now I'm going to give you one last chance to stop acting like Nazi stormtroopers." And in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm back. Yeah. I'm in a little bit. You lost me. You had entirely lost me, but now you got me just a little bit.
Yeah, I think it goes in D for just for the message.
Yeah, and it's just for the message and for Reeves' performance.
Yeah. He's good.
Because he's really good. I watched a lot of Adventures of Superman on Nick at Night when I was a kid. I was not a kid in the 50s when it originally aired. It was not that to me, but I did watch it a lot when I was a kid. And I'm a pretty big George Reeves believer, as Superman. He's pretty great in the role. I also really like his Clark. So this one goes in D, but other than that, it is a mess.
Yeah, totally.
So then that brings us to Adventures of Superman 1952. And now it's more of a weekly type thing. The show was developed by Whitney Ellsworth and Robert J. Maxwell, who had written the Mole Man movie. George Reeves came back as Clark. Phyllis Coates came back to play Lois in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then she left after season 1, and Noelle Neal came back to be Lois for the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So this one redoes Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
In one episode, we see Krypton blow up. We see little Clark come to Earth.
Yeah.
We see him saved by his adoptive parents. We see him grow up. We see his dad die. We see him go to Metropolis. We see him become a reporter at the Daily Planet. We see him reveal himself as Superman. He meets Lois Lane and Perry White. Like, it's a lot crammed into something that's less than half an hour long.
It's true. I kind of thought that the Krypton origin and Smallville stuff was pretty good, though.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I understand where the Mole Man one was coming from, because I feel like what they wanted to do a TV show. They wanted to do something where they needed to have a new adventure every week. And they did eventually, like, I think they aired the Mole Man one as an episode. Like, they cut it down a lot, but it was an episode of the show. This feels like the first episode of a TV show, introducing all of the characters. I got some problems with it. Like,
sure,
Clark is supposed to be mild-mannered and is supposed to try to distract from the fact that he's Superman, right? And he wants to get a job at the Daily Planet. So what he does, because Perry won't let him in, and Perry's receptionist won't let him in. So what he does is he goes out to the ledge and he walks around the entire building on the ledge and then comes in through Perry's window. And Perry's like, this is 28 stories up. And my feeling about that is like, that's not awfully mild-mannered of you, Clark.
No. Not at all.
I don't know what you're doing here, because you're about to reveal yourself as Superman.
Yeah. A lot of these older things, they have that classic preamble with the like disguised as mild-mannered Clark Kent at the Daily Planet. And that was just like a thing that they said, I feel like, as a descriptor that didn't really like ever apply to the character. And it wasn't until years later with like the Christopher Reeve stuff that that somebody, and then also in the comics, that somebody actually started to like, what if like to start to think that like Clark should be like hugely different in personality.
Yeah.
And really take the mild-mannered thing to heart.
You say that, but I thought Kirk Allen did do that. Like, I thought Kirk Allen played Clark way more like mild-mannered, and George Reeves played him way more like confident.
Yeah. Well, some people just can't not be confident, I guess.
I guess not, but like I don't know. I would gently disagree, because I think it was there before. But
yeah, I can say that.
Only gently, because I think you're right in that it got way more pronounced as time went on.
Right. It wasn't until later that the creative consensus on the character started going into more of a like, he's putting on like a completely different personality act as Clark.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where to put this one, because like, if I'm judging it based on how the show went, because I think it was a really good show, I'd put it a little higher, but they just crammed too much into 1.5 hour. And like, I think little pieces of it work, but I don't think that it works as a whole.
It's true, but I do really like the origin that's in it.
I do too.
I don't know. Like, I would put it at C if it was me, just me, probably.
I'll put it at C.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Yeah.
There you go, George.
It's better than the Mole Men.
Yeah. All right. So we've made it through the 40s and the 50s. Now we are in 1966. So there's a company called Filmation that did a lot of cartoons back then, TV cartoons. I mean, this ended up running for 4 years.
Crazy.
Short little segments. We watched the first episode, which is like Two Little Adventures, The Force Phantom, and The Mermen of Emor, which aired September 1966. It was developed by Lou Scheimer at Filmation. This first episode was directed by Hal Sutherland, and it starred Bud Collyer as Clark and Joan Alexander as Lois. Those names might sound familiar because they also did the voices of those two characters in the Fleischer cartoons. Like,
That's
they went back and got them.
I did not know that. That's insane.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. I liked it, and I'll talk about this more with Super Friends. I would make the case that Filmation was really good at what they did, and they were able to make a product that looked good and was like at a consistent level of quality, and also was incredibly cheap to produce. I feel like they kind of worked within those confines technically really well.
Yeah.
Is it good animation? How do we define good animation? It doesn't move very much, but the illustrations are really good. Like, I actually really like the design of everything. Superman looks like he flew right off the page of the Silver Age comics. All of the design of the aliens and the ships and the mermen, like it's very 60s and very cool. And the animation's not great and fluid, but it's really consistent, and I like it. I never felt like they stretched themselves too much in that first episode, but I kind of like it. And I will say, I think Super Friends does not age as well.
Also, it's like this, and the style and tone of this and Super Friends feels so similar, but they're actually so far apart in time. Like,
yeah.
It was fascinating to me, but it just means that this era of animation like really lasted a long time. It like is what that shows to me. But anyway, I also like, I found it like it has its own particular charm. Like I didn't love it or anything, but like I'd go C or B on this one.
I mean, I'd go B on this one because like the thing I liked is I just enjoyed Superman as a character. Like he talked to himself a lot, and he had a lot of really funny little asides about the challenges. Like in one of them, he fights the Force Phantom, which is this big like being made out of energy that's actually a projection from an alien ship. He's having a rough go of it fighting the Force Phantom. Like he's not just waltzing in and going, I am the mightiest hero. Like he's actually struggling, and it's really fun. And he's even like, I'm not doing great here. And it's a fun thing to watch. Like I really enjoyed seeing him go through that. And then the second one is fun too. The second like story in that episode is fun because he and Jimmy are in that one. And so we see a little bit of Clark. And I can't remember if we see a little bit of Lois in the first adventure.
Yeah, I don't
if we do, it's fleeting. I don't really remember it.
They're so short that
but like he's barely Clark. He is Superman a lot. And but it's fun. I'd go B on this one.
I also like, this is like very much in the era that like a couple of them were doing it already, but it's just like where it usually kind of ends with him making some joke about like with Jimmy or Lois or somebody like questioning something about the difference between, you know, Clark and Superman, or just like, oh, too bad Clark wasn't here to see this, or like, you know, blah, blah, you know, kind of one of those classic, you know, Superman things, and him saying some little like clever thing and then winking at the screen as the fade out. Like that's
There's one later that does it in live action, and I hate it.
Yes, but in the cartoon, it's fun. Yeah.
This one, it works here. Like, I think it works for them.
Totally.
So, B.
Yeah.
Now, Super Friends, 1973. This was not Filmation. This was Hanna-Barbera. It was created by E. Nelson Bridwell, Carmine Infantino, and Julius Schwartz. They were the creative consultants on it. This is weird. Like, okay, this is not a Superman story the way the other ones are, because the Super Friends were like a kind of a retelling of the Justice League, which is the team the team of people that he is on. So it's like him, Wonder Woman, Batman and Robin, Aquaman, Marvin, and Wonder Dog.
Yeah, and what's her the lady's name?
I can't remember.
Well, basically, the Super Friends is, if you have no idea, the Super Friends is like a very early like proto Justice League, and it was like, what if there was some classic Justice League characters, and then also in the Justice League was Shaggy, Scooby, and Velma. Like,
yes.
Because it's like the characters that are clearly ripoffs of those characters.
I would say she's more Daphne than Velma.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Her name, by the way, is Wendy.
Yeah,
it's Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog. Oh, by the way, there's someone. The only reason why I haven't made him a friend of the pod yet is because it's too intimidating, because he's been in too many things. But I just want to mention Frank Welker, because Frank Welker, he's come up on the show before. He has been in so many things and so many cartoons. He is the voice of Marvin, one of the three guys, and also Wonder Dog. And it's intimidating to put him on Friends of the Pod because he's been in so many things, but I will actually do that. And he is a friend of the pod. And I want to mention Frank Welker, because
Frank Welker.
He's been around for years. The total legend. I'm going to go ahead and say this about Super Friends, because I never really watched it that much, but I watched the whole first episode, which is like 45 minutes long. Like it's ridiculous. It's the Super Friends hour. This kind of surprised me, but like, can I tell you my feeling about it?
Sure.
I thought it was terrible and didn't work and wasn't funny.
I had a feeling you were going in that direction.
Like, I hated it.
I never say I hate anything, but like I can't really say any better or different. Like, it certainly did not do anything for me except be too silly. Like, where like the other, like the previous one was too silly, but also had other stuff going for it.
Was it too silly, or was it just silly enough?
Yeah, perhaps it was just silly enough. Whereas this is like, you had Aquaman and Shaggy and Scooby, and it's definitely too silly.
It's not Shaggy and Scooby. It's Marvin and Wonder Dog.
Okay, whatever. I wish they'd done actual Shaggy and Scooby.
I know.
That would have been S tier.
Yes, it would have been amazing, but that is not what they did.
No.
No, this is real. Like, it's a rough sit.
Also, that it's so long. Like,
It's so long.
so long.
And they do little adventures with each of the characters. There is one plot that's going over the course of it. There's like an alien that comes to Earth and clones a guy and like makes itself look like this human. And he's like going around and what they call him, the energy pirate, or
yes,
the power
something like
pirate.
that. The power
Yeah.
pirate. That's what the episode's called. Yeah.
And he's like stealing power from around the world. And like it turns out he's fine and he's friendly and it's okay.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I want to put this straight in F. And I want to put it in F for two reasons.
Uh-huh.
And one is petty and doesn't matter very much. And the other one I think is more meaningful. The petty reason that I want to put it in F is because I didn't like it. I really hated it and did not like watching it even a little.
That's the most important reason. Yep.
Also, if we're looking at this as an introduction of a new interpretation of Superman, it is so unsatisfying.
It's got nothing in that regard. Yeah.
Like, we almost shouldn't be talking about it, but we got it. Something's got to go in F. So
while I was watching it, I considered texting you and being like, have you watched this yet? I think you're going to regret putting it on the list. And I didn't do that. And I probably should have.
One of the things that I did when I was putting all my notes together for all of these is I am the type of annoying Superman fan where, like, I call him Clark more than I call him Superman because Clark is his name. Superman is just, that's his job.
Yep.
None of his parents named him Superman.
No.
He's either Kal-El or Clark.
I'm one of those insufferable guys that either, I call him Clark, but I'll call him Kal-El too sometimes.
Ugh.
Or Cal. I know.
Yeah.
I'm insufferable.
That's insufferable. That's truly insufferable. But I call him Clark. So when I was putting my notes together and then I was writing down the cast for all of them, I started with the first one. And like, I didn't write Kirk Allen as Superman. I wrote Kirk Allen as Clark because that's just my normal mode. I got to this one. It was like Danny Dark as Superman because he's never Clark.
Yeah.
Like, Clark is not a character on this. Like, that whole idea that Superman has like an alter ego, maybe it comes up in other episodes later, but in this one, that clearly is not the point.
Right.
He's there to be Superman.
I don't mind that not being the point. I think it's totally fine for Justice League stories to not really involve Clark Kent at all. But for the purposes of what we're doing for this episode, it's nothing. Like, there's no like interesting character stuff with that at all.
In F it goes.
Yes, I would have done D, but I'll do F.
Okay, thank you.
See, this is how I feel like we're doing. Is that like I'm giving a 2-bar window, and then I feel like this is a good way to come to a consensus.
Yeah, this is working.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens as we go.
Oh, there's going to be some problems later.
I mean, we have yet to put anything in S or A,
and we're not going to start now. What's next?
No, we're absolutely not. Now, this is an unfortunate one because it's something we kind of can talk about and something we can't talk about. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. I don't know if you know that. That's the thing people say when they see him flying through the sky.
One of the sayings.
Yeah, it's in everything.
Yeah.
In 1966, it was a Broadway musical. Music by Charles Strauss, lyrics by Lee Adams, and book by David Newman and Robert Benton. I love the Wikipedia entry for it because I feel like it was written by someone who's a fan, because it very clearly states like 2 or 3 times in the Wikipedia entry, audiences liked it, but it wasn't successful and closed. But it's very clear to say that like critics and audiences liked it. It's like, okay, but it didn't do well and closed.
Yeah.
But we can't watch it. Like, there is no like professional production of it that you can watch on video. So unfortunately, we can't really talk about it. But thank God for 1975's TV version.
Yeah, thank God for it.
I know. Because in 1975, they did it as a TV special. It was directed by Jack Regas, and it was adapted for TV by Romeo Muller. But it's based on the music and the lyrics in the book by all the people that I just mentioned. Starred David Wilson as Clark, Leslie Ann Warren as Lois.
Yeah, this cast is kind of crazy.
Yeah, Loretta Swit as Sydney and Kenny Mars as Max Menken. Like, there's all new characters. There's all new stuff.
Yeah, but it's so funny how like the Max character and whatever the character you just said that Loretta Swit is playing,
Sydney,
right, are just like essentially Lex and Eve Tessmacher, but like not really. But it's just weird that they didn't just make it like Lex and a lady friend, like it's strange.
It's also strange that we've gotten so far and we haven't yet talked about Lex Luthor. I'm excited to start talking about him at some point, but we're not there yet. I mean, he appears in the other ones, just never at the beginning. They never start with Lex.
Right.
Okay. I had always heard this was terrible.
Yeah.
And the stories were true.
Yeah, and they were goddamn correct. I fell asleep like a third of the way into this, and I was made the huge mistake of watching it on like a Saturday afternoon after having like gone to a 4th of July or 5th of July like cookout thing where I ate a bunch of burgers and hot dogs, and then came back and put this on and promptly fell asleep for like 2 hours. This thing sucks.
It's really rough. And like they edited it heavily for TV. So we can't really judge the original musical based on this TV special because they like cut entire songs, cut entire plot points. They changed. There's like secondary villains in it that are, I'm not even totally sure what they were in the original show, but like, are they acrobats or something? I'm not totally sure. Anyway, in this one, they're the mob. I was making the joke before about them sounding like they were in Guys and Dolls. This is literally like mobsters who clearly were all just in a production of Guys and Dolls and just wore the exact same costumes straight to the set of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. All that stuff is invented for the TV version, was never in the play. So I don't know how much of that stuff was there. Okay. It needs an audience.
Yeah.
Because it's done in total silence on a soundstage, but it's written for an audience. So it has like laugh breaks and stuff in it, but no laughs will ever come on account of there's no one there. And they don't even pretend that there's anyone there. I honestly would have preferred a laugh track to what they did, which was nothing.
I agree.
It wouldn't have made it better, but it would have made it easier to watch.
Regardless, it's an awkward watch. It's an awkward show.
I will give it points for David Wilson's performance as Clark and Superman. I really enjoyed him.
Okay.
And he made me believe a man could fly. He made me feel that a stage show could work with an actor playing Clark Kent and Superman.
Okay. Yeah.
I dug his performance. It was really, it's like the whole thing is a parody. It's a very, like, it's got a lot of jokes. It's not very, I don't think the jokes are very funny, but like, it's clearly a comedy. It's clearly like parody. His performance as Clark and Superman is really dry and I thought pretty successful. Like, I liked him in it.
Yeah. I like the dichotomy of the character, which is like a real thing to consider when thinking about a performance as Superman. But yeah, I mean, the trouble is just like whenever I think about him, I just think about him singing terrible songs.
Yeah, I would say something that's even worse is Lois.
Yeah.
So this characterization of Lois is terrible. And I think is the worst one. They turn her into an idiot.
Yeah.
And Lois Lane is an ace reporter.
Yes. She is on top of it.
Yes, she doesn't figure out that Clark is Superman, but like, okay. But in the world of the story, she's a better reporter than Clark is. Like, the only thing that makes Clark a good reporter is that he's also Superman. Lois is a really good reporter, and in this, she is a moron. I hated it. That's what made it the worst to watch for me.
Yeah.
She has a whole song called What I've Always Wanted, and it's not stealing the Somewhere That's Green sequence from Little Shop of Horrors. It's not stealing that because that came later. But Lois is like doing this little thing where she's dreaming of being a homemaker when she's married to Superman. And she just wants to wait. Like, that's not Lois Lane at all.
No.
Lois Lane is not a homemaker.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one.
I'm moving into F, by the way. I'm just moving into F because that's obviously where it's going.
F. Like, I love Leslie Ann Warren and things, but
I do too.
This ain't it.
Do you remember the song You've Got Possibilities?
Not particularly. I don't remember any of the songs.
So Sydney sings it to Clark because she's like, "Oh, hey nerd, you're actually kind of handsome."
One of those kind of songs.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty good song, and it definitely had a life beyond It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. Peggy Lee recorded it in 1966.
Okay.
It's a pretty good song, and at no point in the song does it have any actual reference to Clark Kent or Metropolis or the Daily Planet or anything. And it's so funny to me that that's the context that it was written in. And so I listened to the Peggy Lee version of it, and it's really, like, it's pretty good. And it's very strange to me that it's a pop song. Like, this character is singing it to Clark Kent right now. It will always and forever be connected. And that's funny to me. But it's the F. F.
Consensus.
I was going to say that the 70s was pretty weak, but then, okay, in 1978, there was this movie. Just called Superman, not called Superman the movie. That's not its actual title.
Common misconception. They just put that on the posters and the cover of the DVDs like after the fact, but yeah, it's not its technical name.
Directed by Richard Donner.
Yes.
Produced by Elias Salkind, Alexander Salkind, the Salkins, and Pierre Spengler. Written by Mario Puzo. Let me try to do a really quick version of this because this has been talked about many, many times because this is a very big, popular movie. And
this is a legendary film.
The Salkins originally said, we want to do this. We have a big idea. We're going to do 2 movies. We're going to shoot them at the same time. And we're going to hire Dick Donner for it. And he's a good director. We're going to hire Mario Puzo, who's, coming off The Godfather. Like, he's going to be great. And we're going to get real stars in it. So, like, Jarrell, Marlon Brando. That's who we're going to get. Someone who famously did not give a shit about anything that happened in this movie. And his outtakes are legendary, and I love them. Mario Puzo, they did not like his screenplay, so they brought in some other people, and they thought, who should we bring in? Well, let's bring in, do you remember that show, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman? What if we bring in the guys who wrote the book for that? How about we have them work on Mario's screenplay? So they brought in David Newman and Robert Benton.
Did not know that.
Yep. And it starred this up-and-comer, Christopher Reeve as Clark and Superman.
Swell kid.
Yep. Margot Kidder as Lois. Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. It's fun that we finally get to talk about Lex Luthor.
Yep.
I mean, Ned Beatty, Jackie Cooper, Glenn Ford,
yeah.
Terrence Stamp, like Susanna York, Mark McClure. Like, what a movie.
Yeah. This movie's fantastic. And I am still a big fan. Like, I think that all the other ones fall incredibly short, but I think that this one's still good. I love this movie quite a bit. Jeremy, what do you think of this movie?
I don't like it.
You son of a bitch. Like, I do. He gave this 2 stars on Letterboxd, and I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah, I don't like this movie.
However, I may be swayed in certain areas, especially because having watched it recently, I will concede that the first hour is great, nearly perfect, and the second half is questionable.
Yep.
I will concede that. But the first half is so important and so, I think, good that I think it makes up for the whole movie. But that's just me.
I have never found this movie to be a satisfying watch. Even when I was a kid, I felt like I was wildly out of step with everybody else on this one. Everything I'm going to say is coming from that perspective.
Okay.
I wish I felt about it the way so many people do. And I will admit that, like, when Christopher Reeve is on screen being Clark or being Superman, it's magic. I don't have a single negative thing to say about Christopher Reeve's performance. He owns both these characters in ways that few people have ever done.
Yeah, ever been able to.
It's truly, truly wonderful. I think this is a really underwritten movie. Like, it's a really underwritten B movie that's pretending to be... Like, that was why the Salkins hired Donner. They were like, he can make a real movie. It will look like a real movie. Big, widescreen, epic. And there are parts of... Like, the whole thing looks like a real movie. It looks like a modern movie. Yeah. Because it was shot by someone who knew how to make a movie. But so much of it still feels to me like the 1948 movie Serial or Superman and the Mole Men.
Okay.
I find it to be really hollow, and that bums me out. And I just think a lot of things don't work in it. Like, okay, you mentioned the first hour.
Yeah.
We're on Krypton for a long time.
Yes. Longer the better, which the whole movie was on Krypton. Go on.
It's very serious. It's incredibly serious. They take it so seriously.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool. Like, the look of it is iconic. It is.
Well, okay, I might as well talk about this now. I just want to talk about Marlon Brando in this first scene in this movie. Still reported, I believe it's still true, that it's the highest paid actor on screen for the amount of time on screen ratio is still to this day.
Even like dollars to minutes?
Even like including inflation and stuff.
Yeah.
I surprisingly likened this to when we were talking about The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Okay.
And the 1996 version with Marlon Brando.
Yep.
As
I
Dr.
assume
Moreau.
you were thinking of the one with Marlon Brando in it.
In both of them, famously, Brando is not there for very long. He's paid an incredible amount. He's so much trouble on set, is like a jerk is disruptive, all kinds of things. This is, of course, like the legend, at least. And then in the end of it all, I don't care. He was fantastic. Whatever he was doing was good and right. Now, a large portion of my adoration for this opening scene and the first hour of the movie is John Williams' score. It goes like that takes a long way.
Yes. I mentioned Christopher Reeve as being magic. John Williams' score is also magic.
It's unbelievable. I listen to parts of it sometimes just to feel things.
Yep. I don't know if you know this about John Williams, but he was good. He's good. Like,
yeah,
he's
I
good.
know.
He's good at his job.
He did some other stuff too, I think.
Like, that's good. That's very good.
So I will admit that it goes like that goes a long way towards my feeling of the movie. Yeah.
So we're on Krypton for a really long time.
We're on Krypton for the perfect amount of time. Gotcha.
And then for a very long time. And then Krypton blows up and Clark goes to Earth. Then we see like little kid Clark. And then we get a very long sequence of teenage Clark.
I wouldn't call it very long.
It's quite long because we have to see him during football practice, and we see him interacting with his, friends, and we see him back at the house, and he is there when his dad dies, and he's in the movie for a while.
Yeah, it's not short.
We also see him go on his journey. He leaves the farm. Why does he leave the farm? Why does he go north?
Jeremy, don't ask these kinds of questions. This is like
Clark starts walking up to the Arctic.
Obviously, he walks to the Arctic from Kansas, and no big deal.
Why? That's my problem. My problem with this movie is
because he's being
why.
Like the crystal's telling him to. I don't know. Make up whatever you want.
But that's the thing. I don't want to have to make up something. I wanted the people who made the movie to decide on something. But I feel like this movie is full of hand-wavy stuff like that.
I'm being purposefully incendiary. I agree.
I'm being unintentionally incendiary. I don't want to be incendiary. People love this movie. I don't like it. But like the Fortress of Solitude has to be in the the ice and everything, so he has to go there. But and then he just says oh, I gotta throw the crystal. I've got the crystal from Krypton. I gotta throw it. Why does he have to throw it? Just feels like he needs to. And we're with this teenage version of the character for so long. Christopher Reeve, when he was in this movie, I want to say 26. He was born in 1952. The younger version of him was born in 1957.
Yeah.
It's just a different adult.
Yeah.
They're just two guys in their 20s, and they just look like different people. It never worked for me. That's all I'm saying right now is that young version of Clark, it never worked for me. It was always jarring when that Clark goes north. And suddenly we have a montage where he's meeting Jor-El and hearing about Krypton. And then suddenly he's Christopher Reeve in the Superman suit and has that really dramatic thing where he flies at camera. I have never liked that sequence. I've never liked that cut. I find it immensely unsatisfying as a viewer because it tells me nothing about the character.
Of course, that is extremely jarring. I never had a problem with the two actors, even though they both look like adults. If that was teenage Clark and then it skipped forward some years and it's Christopher Reeve, it would have been better. But of course, you're correct. The incredible jarring thing of he creates the fortress, he goes into it as teenage Clark, and then flies out in the Superman suit as Christopher Reeve is that's rough.
And yes, I know it's very distracting that Superman is flying directly at the camera and it's Christopher Reeve looking amazing and the special effects are incredible and the wire work is amazing and the music is swell. It's amazing. I know. I still don't like it.
Sometimes that's all that matters, Jeremy.
And then there's the rest of the movie. And it's a Superman story with a really arch Lex Luthor, and Gene Hackman's pretty fun as Lex Luthor, and Margot Kidder's pretty fun as Lois Lane. And
I think Margot Kidder's fantastic.
I don't love this version of Lois.
Interesting.
She doesn't feel like Ace Reporter Lois Lane. This Lois does not feel like she's very good at her job. And that frustrates me because I want Lois to be good at her job.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. It's not that there's anything that indicates that she's bad at her job, but there's not really anything indicating that she's really good at it either.
No,
I
not
can
really.
Imagine her being good at her job. And
that wasn't enough for me.
Yeah, no, and that's understandable.
Yeah, and there's the whole sequence where Superman just goes on a rampage helping people, which is a weird way to describe that, I know. But it's a whole montage where he helps so many people, and I gotta say, like, finding the thieves on their boat and then dropping the entire boat off in front of the police station, that's not helpful. That's not helpful.
What are they going to do with that boat?
That's not helpful, Superman. No, I feel like, because then the second half of the movie is like, now we've got Luthor's whole plot, and it's a whole plot about real estate, and he's gonna...
He loves real estate.
Yeah, he's gonna make California fall into the ocean, and he owns all the land that isn't going to be there, and it's a whole thing. There's one other part of this that, like, to me is, even as a kid, I was really frustrated by this, and it made no sense to me. And it just speaks to the thing I was saying before about, like, why do these things happen? Like, why is Clark? Why does he dress the way he does? Why does Luthor act the way he does? Why does Lois act the way she does? Why do these things happen? There has to be a reason for it in the reality of the story. And I'm not saying they have to explain it, but there should feel like there is a reason. This movie has kryptonite.
Yep.
We go from not knowing anything about kryptonite in the movie to knowing that it is an irradiated piece of Superman's homeworld that can kill Superman. And the only way we find all this out is because Lex just tells his lackeys, like, here's this thing called kryptonite, meteors from his planet. And it stands to reason that they would have radiation that is deadly to him, but not to us. I don't understand how this happened and how it doesn't. I don't understand how this doesn't make more people mad. Like, is there something huge I'm missing? Because it feels like the only reason that Lex knows that kryptonite will kill Superman is because he's read the comics.
That is kind of how it feels. But I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of like it when Superman stuff goes like, and as everybody knows, watching this, it doesn't bother me.
It bothers me incredibly. So I guess the question now becomes, because every single thing you said nice about this movie is correct. Like, it's correct. If it were me putting this on the list, do you know where I would put this?
I will accept A.
I'd put it in C.
I know you would, but
I'll put it in A.
You're
of course
a crazy
I'll put
person.
it in A. Of course I'll put it in A, because even though I'll put it in A, but with an asterisk.
John Williams' score.
Yeah.
Is an A.
It's going in A for John Williams and Christopher Reeve. That's just how good those two aspects of it are.
But
I refuse to put it in A without saying it's also really rough and I don't like it.
Before we move on, I want to just get this in because I'm going to mention it again in later versions. One of the things about the Superman mythos that is the most personally emotional to me is Jor-El and Lara putting Kal in the rocket. Just anything involving that. This is a very emotional one for me. I love, both in the comics and on screen, any good depiction of it always makes me cry. This is all like cartoony and sci-fi and ridiculous, but can you imagine doing that? That's how I feel about it. And this was like the one that kind of set off my fascination with that moment. And so I just want to say that now.
I'm just sitting here thinking, could I convince you to put it in B?
Put it in B.
I'm putting it in B.
You made some excellent points.
It's rough, and parts of it are magical.
You piece of garbage.
Do you want to have a little more fun agreeing about something?
Yes, please.
So in 1988, the Salkins also still had the rights to the character, and they'd already destroyed him in the theaters by making Superman 2, 3, and 4.
Well, 4 they'd sold to the what's it called? You know, the Masters of the Universe.
Oh, Canon.
Yeah,
Films?
they'd sold it. Yeah, Canon Films with Superman 4. But yes.
Well, the Salkins figured they weren't done, so what they did is they went back in time when Superman was but a Superboy, and they dragged him onto television screens. We watched 2 episodes of this.
Oh my God!
So this was a Superboy show from 1988. It ran for 4 seasons. John Hames Newton played Superboy in the first season. And then Gerard Christopher took over for seasons 2 through 4. We only watched we only watched 2 of the first episodes, so we only got John Hames Newton. So we watched the first episode. Well, you know, the first episode isn't the same as the first episode,
as is true in a lot of TV from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. So the first episode is the Jewel of Techakal. And then the 5th episode is Countdown to Nowhere, but the 5th episode was actually the first episode produced, and it feels like the first episode because no one knows who Superboy is, and he introduces himself.
I was like, I'm sure so that the first episode produced, which they actually aired 5th, will have like a little more of like origin stuff. Nope. Like, sure, none of the other characters in the show, like, it's clearly the first episode produced because none of the other characters or the world around doesn't like seem to know of his existence, but the other one they do. But it's still, I was expected there to be like at least some stuff with his parents.
I mean, he calls his mom on the phone.
Exactly.
I also want to mention that Lana is in this because it's Superboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not Superman.
Yeah, let's talk about their decision making here.
In the story, in the mythos, before he left Smallville, his girlfriend was Lana Lang.
Yes, or at least his love interest.
Yeah. And so if they're doing a Superboy show, well, it's not going to be Lois Lane, it's going to be Lana because, you know, when he knew Lana, he wasn't even a reporter yet. Nope, he's just a reporter for the college newspaper because they're in college.
And it's college that's clearly like some distance from Smallville.
It's Florida.
Yeah, right. It's Florida because that like the whole fucking intro is him flying over the bridge,
like to the Keys. Like, it's Florida. The whole show takes place in Florida.
It's so weird. Like, can you imagine Superman in Florida? I can't.
No, it's very silly.
But it is so funny that they clearly wanted him to be pre-Superman Clark in his like timeline, and they wanted it to be before he, you know, worked at the Daily Planet, before he met Lois Lane. So they wanted it to be Lana Lang, be the love interest.
Stacey Hyduck, by the way.
Yes, who is a big. She played one of the main characters in 2 of the 3 seasons of Sequest DSV, which is why she's very important to me.
Gotcha.
But yeah, she was like an 80s and 90s, you know, sci-fi TV person. But for some reason, they didn't want him to be operating as like Superboy in Smallville or even like in Kansas. So they were just like, have him be in college in Florida.
I think they just wanted to hang out in Florida.
Yeah, that's where they wanted to shoot, right?
Yeah. Okay. So we're spending so much time on this aspect of it when there's so much other bullshit to talk about. Scott James Wells plays Lex Luthor.
Oh my God.
He is the worst actor I've ever seen.
Yeah. We texted about this. I said that maybe we're feeling some recency bias, but there's not much Lex in this episode, even though he is the villain of the episode. Yeah. In this interpretation, while they're in college, Lex Luthor is going to the same college as them for some reason. He's like your classic 80s preppy dick.
Yeah.
He's got like the white sweater over his shoulders, you know, and it is the worst performance I have ever seen in my life. I'm pretty sure. A different actor absolutely plays Lex at some point later in the show. I saw because there's like, I was in the IMDb cast stuff. There's like, this guy's only got like a couple Lex credits, and this other guy was Lex for a lot longer. But
I feel like they reworked the show a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like it. But man,
but like it's rough.
Terrible.
Countdown to Nowhere is that's where Superboy first comes in, and there's like, okay, so there is on the campus they are doing research for the military, and they're creating a laser cannon, and there is a student protest, and the protest is happening over the course of most of the episode, and the protest is the worst protest I've ever seen. And it's just a bunch of students with signs walking around in a circle, and their chant is no lasers. That's it, and they just chant no lasers. With no emotion, no lasers, no lasers, no lasers, no lasers. And it's always there. This chant.
They keep cutting back and forth to the protest for like 20 minutes.
It's just always a bed of audio underneath everything. It made me feel like I was losing my mind.
Well, what made me feel like I was losing my mind is that, like, what are these students protesting? It shows such a like a not understanding of anything, like in the writer's room at the time, you know, like that kind of thing, where the student, like half of the signs are like anti-nuclear signs, and the other half of them are basically like either no lasers or like no death rays. The
laser is a death ray.
Is a death ray.
Yeah.
It's just a laser.
I know. People know it's a laser cannon. It's a death ray. So you talked about the writer's room. My big problem with this
for
one
research purposes
is, like, you know, I was talking about the 66 cartoon, and that like it's really cheap, but I felt like they really made it work for the budget that they had. And I understand live action is different than animation, but you still have to make do. Oh my God, we didn't even mention this aspect of the 1948 movie serial, that like one of the best parts of the whole thing is the way they show Superman flying, because the way they show Kirk Allen flying in 1948 is he just like jumps and then immediately he's a cartoon. And you know what, it's kind of cool and I dig it and no problem, but we forgot to talk about it then, so oh well, we can't talk about it in detail. But that was still them working within their budget, right? Here though, I just imagine there being a conversation in the writer's room where they're like, we got a problem with the script. And the head writer goes, what's the problem? It's like, well, you've got Superboy fighting a team of bad guys who are in a helicopter. They have a laser cannon that they're shooting for him. And the head writer goes, yeah, it's awesome. What's the problem? It's like, well, our budget for this episode is $200. You've written us into a bit of a pickle here, but they forged ahead and they did it anyway, even though they did not have enough money to do this effectively. And it's terrible. It's awful to watch.
So bad.
They didn't need to write that. That's the thing that gets me, is like, it looks bad, but also no one forced them to write a plot that involved a laser cannon and a helicopter. They didn't need to do that.
The other crazy thing about this is that this is a superhero action adventure show. 30 minutes. Like, I'm not saying that that's not possible, but it's so weird. It makes the pacing like so strange. And it rushes through everything, and it's essentially like a sitcom, except they're not funny, you know.
Well, it feels like a cartoon. Like if this was a script for a cartoon, it probably would have worked better, but they wanted to do live action.
Right. But if it was a script for a cartoon, I mean, exactly, good point, because they would have had no problem doing a helicopter with a laser cannon.
Yeah.
So
he even winks at the camera at the end.
Yes, he does. It's terrible.
Yeah, I hate it.
Good.
I hate it.
I said that other one was good. This one's bad.
I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this Superboy, he's a man. Superboy, he's got to be like 15.
It's terrible.
I'm just saying, if you want to see Clark like as a teenager in Smallville, there's one that comes later that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's relevant to us.
Oh, so where are we putting this one? Or is this one going straight to F? Yeah, okay, F. Yeah, no, it's bad. It's terrible. F. Yes. So then in 1988, there was another one that was a cartoon.
Yeah.
Just called Superman. And this was, Superman was everywhere. First Filmation, then Hanna-Barbera, now Ruby Spears, all the cartoon studios.
Yeah.
It ran briefly and didn't do well, which is weird because a lot of people love it because it's got some bona fides. Marv Wolfman was the head story editor. Marv Wolfman had been writing comics for years.
Big comic writer. Yeah.
He'd written something that had a Superman parody in it, and that's how he got hired. And he was like, you guys know that I wrote Superman for a long time, right? Like, I know the character. And there were a lot of people that worked on this show that were like from the comics. The character designs, it's really, one thing that I think is important is that in 1986, there was this big thing that happened in the comics where they kind of started over. And it's not worth getting into the details of that. But in starting from scratch, they reinvented Superman and redid the origin. And so there was this miniseries that came out called The Man of Steel, and it was by a guy named John Byrne, who's one of the giants. He completely reinvented the origin story, and that origin story carried forward for years. And so much of the look of that carried over to this cartoon. Like it's got a very John Byrne look to it.
Yes.
But it's this very kind of classic adventures, classic look. Bo Weaver played Clark, Ginny McSwain played Lois. Like, it had a lot going for it.
It did have a lot going for it. Like, well, first of all, for people that are wondering kind of like the style of this cartoon, picture like G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles time and style. Like, it's that kind of, I talked about it in our Saturday morning cartoon episode. The explosions have this certain look to them.
Yeah.
And this has that. I like that just because it's nostalgic for me. But here's my one big positive thing on this one in general. This first episode, if you're a comic fan, it just feels like a Superman story.
Yeah, it does.
It's a classic, like, Lex invents a bunch of robots to protect and patrol the city and save people.
I didn't mention this. The episode is called Destroy the Defendroids. Right. They are the Defendroids. It's one of the two stories in the episode.
So, like, Lex, he hates Superman and thinks that he can do a better job by inventing these robots to protect the city. And they start to work. And Superman is like, am I useless? Like, I don't think they need me anymore. And of course, it turns out to not be true. And he ends up, but like, that is a Superman ass story. Like, like a Superman comics ass story.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. I'd put this one in C, honestly.
Me too.
Like, it should have been better, but the animation is rough.
It had a lot going for it. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, you say you're nostalgic for it. I feel like at no point did you say, like, it was a bad era of animation. Like,
it is. I am nostalgic for it, but I understand its limitations. Like,
yeah,
it's not good.
It's poor.
I'm just nostalgic for it.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in C because it is right there in the middle. It's like good kind of standard Superman fare, but it didn't really go very far. Now we get to the 90s though.
Getting into our wheelhouse.
Enter Little Jeremy, who is now into Superman. And he's just gotten into reading the comics because Superman died. There was a show that came out in 1993 called Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
Yeah. Bit of a sweaty title.
Whatever. It was developed by Deborah Joy Levine, and the pilot aired in September of 1993. It ran for 4 seasons. The pilot was directed by Robert Butler. It starred Dean Cain as Clark and Superman, a man who famously played Superman for 4 years and learned nothing from the experience. Guy who has just loved being a conservative mouth. He just wants to be in the conservative world and be a conservative mouthpiece. And
he really had to just release a statement about the new one. I tell you what.
Oh, did he?
Oh yeah. It's been making the news rounds. Yeah.
Awesome.
He said, essentially he said it was a mistake to make it so woke, and that Superman absolutely like has very progressive ideas about immigration, but but it can go too far, you know.
My God, like
just
like whatever
like
he had going on in his head to play the character, cool. But I'll say this: I fucking love this show so much.
This is all, and I've always known this. I mean, Jeremy loves the show.
And Terry Hatcher plays Lois. So Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, it's their show.
Right.
Go on.
Like, you can almost say, like, she's the real star of the show. The show was kind of sold on her celebrity.
Yeah. Dean Cain was nobody.
Yeah, and because the show is so much more about their romance, she's much, Lois is much more of the main character than, probably in any other adaptation before. I also have great memories of watching this when I was real young, but I don't think I went as far with it as you did.
I went all the way to the end of the 4th season, and let me tell you what. It got rough.
It gets real bad, right?
That's what I remember.
There's like a live action Mxyzptlk at some point, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. No, I was literally about to say it's Howie Mandel. He plays Mr. Mxyzptlk. Yeah. Let's talk about Mr. Mxyzptlk for a second. No, we're not going to do that. What an amazing
Let's do
character,
a deep dive on really obscure Superman villains.
Yep. It's Howie Mandel. I remember that episode. I remember watching that episode when it was on, and even at the time I was like, I don't like this. So it goes off the rails, but that pilot, that I don't care if I'm biased by nostalgia. I don't care. I don't care. It's an amazing pilot.
It's good.
It is such a fantastic script. It is so interested in turning Lois and Clark into actual characters with actual motivations and actual backstories. They have real emotions, and their emotions swing back and forth between, anger and happiness and sadness and combinations of, like people.
Yeah.
It's goddamn revolutionary. Also, Lois, she's real good at her job.
Yeah.
That's the thing I love about it, is like the show is so interested in making Lois a great reporter.
The show opens with her in drag for a story.
It's introduced in a way where she is a star reporter, and deservedly so, who also separately is lonely and feels like she'll never find someone to be in a relationship with. And look, does that define every single person in the world? No. Does Lois even need to be like that in every version? No. All I want is for it to work. And in this one, it works.
Yeah.
And they're also setting it up as a romance show. Like, the show is about the romance. As you said, it's like the show's about the romance between the two characters. But then there's Clark.
It's good.
This is maybe until the new movie came out, this was my favorite Clark in live action.
Interesting.
I mean, he's basically almost 3 characters. Like, he's not just Clark and Superman. He's, the Clark he is when he's talking to his parents and when no one's looking. There's the Clark he is when he's at the planet, which is just a little twist, slightly different version, not very different, but a little different. And then there's Superman, who's like, I am playing a character now.
Yep.
I am playing the hero. And he doesn't show up until the end of the pilot. It's a two-parter, shows up at the end as Superman. We just get to spend so much time with him as he's just moving to Metropolis, getting the job at the planet. It is very clear that like they're making the decision to show the fact that like being Superman doesn't mean you can necessarily afford rent in a nice apartment. But even more than that are his parents.
Love them.
Kay Callan and Eddie Jones play Martha and Jonathan, and
so much.
Kay Callan kills it as Martha. She's my favorite Martha of all time.
That's legit.
She's so full of life. And Jonathan, Eddie Jones is Jonathan. This interpretation of the character is the reason why I am usually set against any where Clark's dad dies of like a heart attack. Because in my favorite version for years, and also in the comics for a really long time, like both his parents are alive.
Alive, like while he's Superman in the city.
And like he visits them and talks to them, and like his dad doesn't need to be dead.
Yeah.
Even though that is that way in a lot of versions of it.
Yes.
Their relationship with Clark is beautiful, and I love it, love it, love it. No problems, no notes. This is great.
Yep. Like if we're talking about this pilot, then yeah, it's very effective. I mean, like some of the effects don't hold up. You know, there's a very, very hokey scene where Clark swallows a bomb and burps.
Yep.
But I still really enjoy it. There's like, it is a good pilot.
Now, Jeremy, I'd like to argue with you, Jeremy, because I believe that I'd like to hold myself in contempt. I was complaining before that sometimes they just do things because that's the way it works without really coming up with a reason for it. This Clark wears glasses for no reason at the beginning of the story. He's not Superman until the end of the pilot.
Yeah.
And that is lame. There is quite a bit of sexual harassment going on at the Daily Planet in this episode. He certainly is saying some things to Lois that are not super cool. Cat Grant is saying a lot of things to Clark that are not super cool. Lois is saying some things to Clark that are not super cool. Like it was a different time, and that doesn't mean it was a better time or an okay time, but it was a different time.
Not related to the sexual harassment going on at the planet, but just as a side note, this is one of my favorite Perry Whites.
I would I'll see your this is one of your favorites, and I'll raise you this is the best Perry White.
Played by Lane Smith, just a fantastic Perry White. The platonic ideal.
Well, they changed one of his things. So one of the things that Perry would always say in different versions, it was his catchphrase was "Great Caesar's Ghost," and Lane Smith he's a Southern man. And when Deborah Joy Levine was writing it, she was like, it wouldn't make sense for him to say "Great Caesar's Ghost," so they changed it to "Great Shades of Elvis." And that just led to him becoming an Elvis fan over the course of the show. And I just love the way these things can go. But he is not just great Perry White, best Perry White.
Yeah.
Also, this show knows how to do a picket line, because in this episode, there's a theater that's going to close, and Clark writes a story about it, and that's how he gets a job at the Daily Planet. And these people are walking around at a picket line, and are they just saying, yes, theater, yes, theater? No, they're not. Sorry, that had too much emotion in it. They're not saying, yes, theater, yes, theater. Their chant, keep the theater on the spot. We don't need a parking lot. That's a chant. That's an actual goddamn chant. And they have more emotion in their 1 minute of doing this picket than in the entire episode of Superboy that we watched. I know what tier I want to put this in, and we haven't even gotten to John Shea as Lex Luthor. He's a great Lex Luthor. There's so much that is good in this.
Very interesting Lex Luthor.
So much that's good in this show. It's so good. I want to put this one in S, because for me, this was like the best, most human portrayal of Superman that I had ever seen, and had ever seen for years. Where would you put it?
I'd put it in an A.
Okay, we'll put it in A. I'm fine with that.
I would accept, like, if you want to put it in an S, you can. I know it's important to you, but I think it's A.
It's got its issues
for me.
So I'll keep it out of S. That's okay. Now, while Lois and Clark was on, there was this other show that was on television that started in 1992 called Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
And it was
very
a
popular
breakaway success. And I think genuinely, just for one reason, it was successful. It's great.
Yeah. It's very, very, very good. I think that's the number one reason.
It's very, 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 very good, in fact. And that's why it was so popular. You know, that was a success. And then when that ended in 1995, it also is crazy to me that it only aired from 92 to 95. Like, I felt like it went on for so much longer than that. They just made a lot of it. And then when Batman the Animated Series was done, the same people moved on to do something else. And what they decided to do was Superman the Animated Series, which ran from 96 to 2000. It was developed by Alan Burnett and Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm is like one of the, like, he's the one who did all the character designs for Batman and everything. And
when you think of these, the Batman and Superman animated series, you're thinking of Bruce Timm's designs.
I met him at a con once that we both went to together. It was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He was real cool. And he was doing sketches, and I was like, "Are you doing sketches?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll Batman." I was like, "Oh, okay." So not like Joker, because Joker's great from that. He's like, "Nope, won't do it." He was real nice about it, but he was like, I was like, "Oh, it's like too complex." He was like, "Yeah, it would take too long." And I was like, "How long does your Batman take?" And he went, and it was like 4 lines. And like, here's a Batman, and it's like one of my favorite possessions. I love it so much. But I have a Bruce Timm Batman, but it took him 2 seconds to draw. It was amazing. So this was developed by a lot of the same people. It originally aired in 1986, and the first 3 episodes were it was a 3-parter called The Last Son of Krypton, which is just a whole new origin story for him.
Yes.
There were like 4 people that directed them all in different combinations. There was Dan Reba, Scott Geralds, Kurt Gaeta, and Bruce Timm. All 3 episodes were written by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. Paul Dini had worked on Batman for a really long time as well.
Alan Burnett and Paul Dini, 2 other giants in this field.
Yeah. They cast Tim Daly as Clark, which, as a kid who loved both Superman and Wings, I was very excited about that.
Yeah, home run.
Dana Delaney played Lois, and Clancy Brown played Lex Luthor, and many other people were in it, but those are the 3 that I'll mention. So this was my experience of rewatching The Last Son of Krypton. I love the show.
Yeah. Watching
this, I realized I love the show because of all of the show that came after The Last Son of Krypton. Like, I love a lot in it, but it's got kind of a weird pacing thing going on. Like the way they split up the episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
It feels like there's a big chunk that's missing. So like the first episode is all Jor-El and Lara on Krypton.
Yeah.
We meet Brainiac for the first time.
Like, I like all of the Krypton stuff in this episode because I like a big sprawling Krypton origin opening thing. Like, that's just something that speaks to me. You know, I mean, you'd be the ultimate authority. I believe like a lot of this is like...
You mean the ultimate authority of the people who are recording this show right now?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yes.
The animated series operatic vision of Krypton as being like very close to the John Byrne redo of the, like, in that like Krypton's very kind of like high sci-fi, and like there's a whole thing going on. There's like soldiers with laser guns, and like, you know, I feel like this was one of the first things outside of the comics that did that like Jor-El was like an action hero.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Like
parts.
that's every other Krypton we've ever seen is Krypton is entirely populated by Jor-El, Lara, and a council. That's it.
Yeah.
And they just exist in big blank rooms where no one else is around, and then it blows up.
But this is like, you see a city, you see citizens, you see like you get an idea of Krypton as a place.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And then of course, you know, it's got them putting him in the rocket, and I like that. You know, it's very emotional for me. The entire 3-part thing I like quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that there's episodes that come later that I like even more. So you know,
I mean, there's amazing episodes later. Do you know you know what my favorite episode is? It's the Mr. Mixia-Spitlick episode. It's so good because Gilbert Gottfried plays Mixia-Spitlick, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the whole first episode. Then the whole second episode is Clark as a teenager developing his powers and everything in Smallville. You know, Lana's there and everything. Then the third episode is, and this is where it kind of falls down for me, is I feel like the first episode on Krypton is like a little longer than it needs to be, but just a little. I think the second episode is way longer than it needs to be. And then the third episode is too short, because the third episode is trying to cram in getting to Metropolis and meeting Lois and Perry and getting the job and also meeting Lex Luthor and becoming Superman. And it's like all happening in 20 minutes, and it's really rushed.
Yeah.
That was why I had the experience where I was like, I think I loved it because of everything that came later, not because of this.
So this does have one thing that I want to talk about, and this is like, as we go on, like we get to talk about a couple of the villains like of the Superman mythos little by little as we go through these adaptations. There is a Superman villain, probably his secondary villain next to Lex Luthor, and that character is named Brainiac. Brainiac traditionally in the comics is an alien from like I believe another lost world called Kolu, who I don't know if it's lost or not. I don't remember.
I mean, of the two of us, you'd be the authority on that.
Well, this right. He's like a cybernetically, like enhanced but organic creature who is kind of going around he's got like consume all data and collect all like cultures in the universe, but then there's all kinds of different versions of Brainiac.
He's a green guy with circles on his head and a little pointy beard.
Yeah. Now, Superman the Animated Series comes around and it decides that it's going to completely reconceptualize Brainiac as an AI computer system that was kind of like the AI that was running Krypton's society before the explosion. It, of course, figured out that Krypton was going to explode and just decided to like not tell anybody and progress towards saving itself. And Jor-El finds this out beforehand and like it still gets away and all this stuff. And then, that way Brainiac can just be kind of like a Cyberman villain later. I love that change. So like it's a thing that the animated series did and changed a character that I always have enjoyed. Brainiac in the animated series, I just love him as a character.
I mean, I know why you love him, and it's just for one reason.
What's that?
It's really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
It's great. Like this one, I mean, where should we put it? Because like if I was doing the series, I'd put the series in S. But if we're just doing Last Son of Krypton, the pilot, I think I'd put it in A.
Yeah,
I think it's so strong. Yeah, I'm gonna put it up there. God, the look of it is so good. Superman flying in it is like it's just iconic in such a beautiful way. It's a great show. Great show. Nostalgia's not real, but at the top of our list is 1993 and 1996 when we were 10. Yeah, but nostalgia's not real.
Well, what do we have next?
So then in 2001, there's another thing that's probably not that good, but I really like it because I was there when it aired. And I was because that was Smallville in 2001. Smallville, which is a goddamn institution, ran for 10 seasons.
Yep.
Launched the whole CW superhero thing.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, like, it's just separate from everything, but it's basically as soon as it was over, they were like, hey, how about we just create a whole universe?
And we're going to center it around Batman. And someone said, we can't. We're going to center it around Green Arrow, but we'll make him Batman. So this was developed by Alfred Gough and Miles Miller. The pilot aired October 2001. It's directed by David Nutter. It starred Tom Welling as Clark, Kristen Kruk as Lana, because of course it's in Smallville. And it's a Superboy show. Yeah. But it's a Superboy show where he's never called Superboy and doesn't wear a costume. But he is Clark. He does have powers.
Not all of his powers. Very specifically, not all of his powers.
I mean, over the course of the show, he has all the powers.
Slowly over the time, they reveal themselves.
Yeah. But like, so this is exactly what I was talking about with the Superboy show before, about how they kind of wrote themselves into a corner because they didn't have a budget to do what they were writing. On this show, I think they knew that it would be too expensive for him to fly. So they were like, you know what? We're going to come up for a story reason. He doesn't know how to fly yet. And that's smart. They've completely reinvented his origin. And like, one of the things that impressed me most about this one is they had such a clear idea about the mythology of their own show.
Yes.
Where it starts when Clark arrives on Earth. We don't see Krypton, not until later. They make the decision that, okay, well, when he lands, there was the meteor shower. A bunch of people died. It was really destructive, and a lot of meteors hit Smallville.
I think that decision and a lot of the decisions in the like plotting of this as a concept for a teen drama Superman show is genius.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a Monster of the Week sci-fi show, if that's what you need to do, which is like, has its pluses and minuses.
Sure.
The meteor shower thing is brilliant because of course there would be the meteor shower with like, it makes conceptual sense in the Superman mythos for a bunch of pieces of Krypton to be traveling along with Clark's ship to Earth because the planet blew up. It doesn't make science sense, but you know what I'm saying? It makes sci-fi sense. Then to have it be that causes, first of all, a traumatic thing for the town that everyone talks about forever and that harmed a bunch of people and that Clark can feel responsible for.
Yeah.
is a big one for this show. And then finally, and also like very importantly, it is all those meteors struck all over town makes there be a lot of kryptonite in town for Clark to get subdued by and also create all of these monsters of the week in various ways. Because apparently kryptonite is not only like toxic to Superman, but is also basically like can just be, when mixed with any situation, can just create superpowers in anything having to do with how it's mixed.
This person was taking a shower when the meteors struck, and now they can disappear into water. And they're a water person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's that kind of shit.
This person liked bugs, then the meteors hit, and now they're a bug person.
Yeah. Oh, and when I say that kind of shit, I mean that kind of really fun week-to-week shit.
Yeah,
because it's pretty fun. Like that aspect of the show, the fact that it's such a strong start and with such a strong idea, that would be fun if it was just like a Monster of the Week type thing. But I think the other thing that works so well in this is they had such a good handle on their core cast of characters, because Clark, so well defined.
Yep. His
friends, Pete Ross, played by Sam Jones III, and Chloe Sullivan, played by Allison Mack, who is a terrible person and hurt many people. And I don't want to talk about Allison Mack anymore.
Yeah. Go watch the documentary.
Chloe's great. Chloe's a fictional character. Mm-hmm. Chloe's adorable, but Allison Mack is a monster. And then there's the whole Lex thing, because Lex is Michael Rosenbaum, who is, I'll go ahead and say it, he's an iconic version of the character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's a truly wonderful version of the character.
I think he's a great version.
And they're all young in a way that makes sense, because like Clark is a high school kid, but Lex is not a high school kid. Like he's
like a couple years older.
Yeah. Like
Clark is supposed to be like 15, which is ridiculous, but like
yeah,
because Tom Welling does not look 15. And then I think Lex is supposed to be like 20 essentially.
But like they come up with a great way for them to start, because Lex hits him with a car and Clark saves his life, and it's such a great way for them to get introduced to each other that makes them have a relationship, but also gives Lex something to have like conspiracy theories about for seasons.
Yep.
And then there's Martha and Jonathan, who are two of my favorite Marthas and Jonathans, because it's Annette O'Toole and John Schneider. And John Schneider of the Dukes of the Hazzard.
Yes.
And
unfortunately has also kind of turned into a conservative asshole. But
yeah, but you know, like this, here's the deal.
Just saying.
I love Jonathan Kent, and that's fine.
I love Schneider's performance as Jonathan Kent in this show.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. Lots of people have done Superman and have learned nothing.
Yeah. I really want to say, like you just mentioned the Lex hitting him with his car. That is a very iconic image from the show. It's used in a lot of the material. It's used in the opening credits. That image of Lex's car going through the guardrails on the bridge and hitting Clark and them both going over the bridge together is an incredible shot.
Yeah.
But it's one of those stunts that is so perfect. You almost like are like, I don't know how they did that. Clark falling with the car looks so good. It's an amazing image. That's all I want to say.
I gotta tell you, I'm trying to come up with reasons not to put it in S.
Yeah.
The thing that is stopping me is that I've seen the rest of the show.
See, this show also gets real rough, but like in the last few seasons.
Yes.
But it is, I think, majoritively good for like nearly half its run. And that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
statistically.
agree that like half of it is good. If I'm just judging it as a pilot, I think this pilot is kind of incredible.
I think it's S tier.
I think I'd put it in S tier. Like
I would absolutely do A too. Like I'll S tier it if you're S tiering it.
Like it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect to be an S tier. But I gotta tell you,
it's so important to both of us that it just do it.
I really want to. I'm moving Lois and Clark.
He's switching Lois and Clark.
I'm switching Lois and Clark to S tier, because if I'm putting Smallville with all of its flaws in S tier, but like feeling really good about it, I'm not going to hedge on Lois and Clark. I think the Lois and Clark pilot is also amazing, and I'm putting it in S.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
That's fine with me.
Okay, cool.
We'll always love Smallville, but also it's very bad.
Yes, and Allison Mack hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is where it's going to get rough, because now we're just going to have a lot to talk about, because now we're getting into the modern era.
Yes.
In 2006. And Ian, I'm really asking you to keep your comments minimal on this one, because I am also going to try to keep my comments minimal on this one.
Go.
This is
Just
the
do
one
it.
more
I'm not
than
going to
any.
say anything. I'm just going to be quiet. Just talk about it.
I think this is the one that like we could spend the most time talking about because there's
Yeah.
Superman Returns. It was directed by Bryan Singer. Basically, while Bryan Singer was working on, he directed Usual Suspects, he directed X-Men, X2. He's a monster. I don't want him to work anymore.
This is
go
a
away
cursed movie.
yeah, because Kevin Spacey plays Lex Luthor. Yeah, it's not great.
It's a great performance, but it's a cursed movie.
Yes. So while Bryan Singer was working on the X-Men movies, he talked a lot with Lauren Schuler Donner and Richard Donner, who produced those movies. And he said to them, hey, I have an idea for a new Superman movie. In my mind, the best thing to do would be to do a direct continuation of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. And they're like, a direct continuation? He's like, well, I'd ignore like 3 and 4. And they're like, what about 2? And be like, I'd ignore 2 also. It would just be a sequel to the first one. And they said, this sounds like a great idea. And so he was going to do X3. He was going to do X-Men 3, and he dropped out to do Superman Returns. And he brought along his screenwriting buddies, Michael Dougherty and Dan Harris, who worked on X-Men and X2 with him. And I'll go ahead and say, I think for years I thought X2 was like the greatest superhero movie ever made. And I still kind of feel that way.
It's
I love
up there still, yeah.
Yeah. And he did Superman Returns, and it was a big swing. It was a big, bold swing to basically try to recapture the magic of the 78 Superman and just continue that story. And they found their Clark as a kid named Brandon Routh, who had also auditioned to be Clark on Smallville and didn't get it. I'll go ahead and say, I think one of the biggest crimes of this movie is that Brandon Routh only got to play Superman on the big screen one time. Yeah. Because he's innocent and he did a great job.
He is, like, he's good. Like, he's very good. It's, I think he's innocent. I think that he he's very good. He, is obviously hired because he got a Christopher Reeve look to him.
He evokes Christopher Reeve. The sound of his voice, he's got like a Christopher Reeve vibe. Yeah.
One of the worst decisions and most off-putting things in the movie is that they forced him to wear blue contacts. That makes him look super weird. They should have just suspension of disbelief. Superman doesn't have blue eyes in this one, but he looks so weird sometimes.
They could have said, because their whole idea was, well, Superman leaves for 5 years because they find out where Krypton was, and he's like, I gotta go see it. I gotta see if my people are still alive. So he spends 5 years traveling to Krypton and finds that no, it got blown up. And he's like, oh,
well,
okay,
I assume he spends 2.5 years traveling to Krypton. Well, 5 minutes there, and then 2.5 years coming back.
I mean, you interrupted me. I literally was saying he spent 5 years going there, seeing that it was blown up, and then coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, I finally did watch that cut scene, like what I'd never actually watched before.
Yeah, it's dour.
It's something. Yeah,
yeah, just like most of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Then he comes back and finds out that everything's changed while he was gone. Lois, played by Kate Bosworth, she wrote a story that won a Pulitzer, and the story is called "Why the World Doesn't Need Superman." And you may ask, if you've never seen this movie, that must be a hell of a story. I can't imagine what would be in it. You know who else couldn't imagine what was in it? Bryan Singer, Michael Dougherty, and Dan Harris, because they never read it. Not once in the movie do we find out what the content was of this article that Lois won a Pulitzer for. It's bullshit. Also, Lois is married now and has a kid. She married Richard White, played by James Marsden. How could anybody be mad at James Marsden? It's impossible. And he's Perry's nephew. Also, they have a kid now, who is Jason, played by Tristan Lake Lebu. And he maybe he's not Richard's son. I don't know.
Cute ass little kid though.
It was real cute. He's real cute. Also, Tristan innocent. He did nothing wrong. James Marsden did nothing wrong. Kate Bosworth did nothing wrong. I like her Lois. I think she did a good job.
Yeah. It's not bad. Like her age is a little doesn't make a ton of sense for what they're trying to do. But then again, neither does Brandon Routh. So it's all a little wishy-washy in terms of it's supposed to be a continuation of the 70s movies.
Yeah, but they took what they wanted and ignored what they wanted, and it's a weird movie. It's a weird movie, and boy, it's rough.
I like to think of this movie as exactly what you said, a huge swing that I'm glad was a huge swing, but it doesn't super work, but there is some damn interesting stuff in it and some good stuff.
There is some good stuff.
Good and interesting, and some of both.
That's true. Okay, so like I'll throw one out there. The plane rescue.
It's one of the greatest Superman things ever put to film, in my opinion.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like truly amazing. Like it is a great action scene and it's so Superman. It's chef's kiss.
The whole sequence is amazing, but just that one particular second when the score swells and he flies through the wing that broke off.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But it's hard to distract from the fact that the movie is just Superman lifting heavier and heavier things as the movie goes on.
Yes, as we've said many times over the years. Yeah, as a Superman fan, there are fascinating things in this movie and very cool things, but this movie is incredibly uncommercial. Like it failed commercially mostly, and I'm surprised it didn't do worse because like this is not a kind of the kind of movie that like mainstream audiences could connect to.
Yeah.
It's a weird ass movie to try to be a blockbuster.
I mean, it was weird too, because it also came a year after Batman Begins, which had like kind of reinvigorated superhero movies. And like we were hoping this would be.
But it was already mostly made before they knew that it was going to reinvent superhero movies.
Exactly. And it's totally different. It's a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
I said this before. Let's not say too much about this one because we could talk for a really long time about this one.
Yes.
There's a lot of moments that are really, really good. There's a lot of moments that are really baffling. Here's my biggest problem with it. This is a Superman movie, and Superman is a supporting character in it.
Yeah.
Lois, Lex, they all feel like bigger characters than Superman.
And I think it's because like a bunch of people involved, maybe not everybody, but a bunch of people involved didn't have faith in Routh. I think that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And that's too bad.
They should have, because he could have carried it.
Yeah.
Instead, they made him be really creepy and spy on Lois with his X-ray vision. Is it creepy? Yes, it is. It's creepy. It's creepy. There's no way around it. It's creepy.
It's creepy. There's a lot of I missed talking about it, but there's a lot of creep Clark in Smallville as well. But that's just like teen drama show par for the course, really.
But that's also after the first episode.
Well, no, he's looking at Lana through his telescope in the pilot.
He is. Yes, he is. Yep. He is. Yes, it's there. But we've already put it in S. We can't move it.
I'm not suggesting taking it out of S. Don't worry.
Where do we put Superman Returns?
I'm going to say C, but maybe B. I would go B or C.
Oh, see, I'm thinking D.
No.
Dude, it's so
I won't accept
rough. Do you know what? This is kind of the opposite of Superman. Mm-hmm. You know how I was willing to put it in A and B, even though I really feel like it's a D. But like, I know that there's stuff in it that's so good. This is the opposite of that. Like, I know there's stuff in it that we like, but like it's so bad.
Put it in D.
I'm putting it in D. Like, are you okay with that?
I mean, no, because I think that this movie is an incredibly interesting artifact of a very weird set of circumstances. And there's so much in it that I think works and is interesting ideas, but that doesn't mean it necessarily like comes together into a thing. So I would put it at C, but I will accept D.
It's in C. You got me.
Throwing me a bone, everybody.
Yep. Okay, so this next one's weird. So then we get to 2007. Now there are many animated movies that are all new stories with Superman in it, because Warner Brothers makes a lot of these.
Yes. Or they made a lot of them between 2007 and 2024.
Sure. But it all started with Superman Doomsday.
Yes.
It is loosely based on the Death of Superman storyline from 1993. Rather loosely. Like, it involves a creature named Doomsday that kills him.
Yeah.
And then it's totally different. And
I mean, he comes back in a black suit. But
he does know that part is the same. That part is the same. It's very strange because, like, okay, so there's a lot of these animated movies, and they did this one, and it's so loosely based on the Death of Superman storyline from 1993. So loosely, like, they went back and did it again.
Yeah.
It was a two-parter. So it was like Death of Superman and then, like, the Reign of the Supermen.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, maybe we'll come back to those at some point because it's a very specific set of adaptations of a particular storyline.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, we might come back to that one day. But anyway, this one was directed by Bruce Timm, Lauren Montgomery, and Brandon Vietti. It was written by Dwayne Capizzi. Bruce Timm's coming in. You know, this is the guy. This is the man from the time. I'm like kind of excited about like a new Superman animated movie that like it kind of looks like Superman the Animated Series, but also not really. And Superman looks a little different, and the voice cast is all different. Now it's Adam Baldwin as Clark. You can put him in the list of people who have played Superman and learned nothing from the experience. Anne Hesh played Lois.
Yep.
Poor Anne
R.I.P.
Hesh. James Marsters played Lex.
Yep.
It's a very weird. This is weird and bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
This is incredibly unsuccessful.
I think so. It was the first of these. It was kind of the dawn of like a new side of the business, although they probably didn't really know it at the time. Like it was also kind of the heyday of like, so the voice casting director, Andrea Romano, she's very famous. She worked on a lot of the animated shows, and then all of like the vast majority of all these animated movies to come out after this, including this one. And I think that there's stuff that I think there's the voice casting decisions that are made that are good in a lot of these over the years, but there's very many of them that are just plugging in whatever nerd actor is hot right then.
Yeah.
And that can cause a lot of bad stuff. I just want to go through my opinion very quickly. I think that Adam Baldwin is very bad in this.
Yeah.
He sounds like he does not give a shit about any of this. It's some of the worst voice acting I've heard. I think that Marsters is a weird, interesting Lex. He's the best one for me.
think Marsters' performance is good. I think the version of Lex is baffling and weird.
Yeah, the version of Lex is weird. It was also the first one of these animated movies that they were making PG-13. That was the big deal. So they had him like friggin' shoot somebody in the head and like be extra sociopathic and evil. And that's a fine take on Lex, but it's just weird. But I think that Marsters' performance was pretty good. I think he's the best out of the bunch.
Yeah, I think this whole movie is a misfire because of the thing you just said. Like they were trying to make it more adult, but it looks too much like the animated series, and they didn't go far enough away from that. Yeah. And it's just it is a misfire, and I don't think it works. One of the reasons why I think it doesn't work, and why I think it's important to talk about here, is because they wanted to do a new interpretation of the character, but not tell an origin story. And that's a delicate thing to do, because when you do the origin story, you can control everything about the character. You don't have to have audiences assume what their history was. You can tell them what their history was. In this one, they do far too little to kind of define their new version of Superman. And he's a boring character. He's a really boring character.
Yeah.
Where are we putting this one? This one, is this one D or F? I
think it's D.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I can't think there isn't really anything in this that I truly like.
Yeah, I can't think of anything redeeming.
So I think it's F.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote F.
There it is. Down at the bottom there. Sorry, Doomsday.
Yeah.
Then we get to one that we're definitely going to agree on, and we're going to be totally in step with everybody, because in 2013, Zack Snyder directed a movie about Superman. It's probably one of the greatest combinations of content and director that I think I've ever heard of, because Zack Snyder knows how to do someone who is good and hopeful and positive. But I'm lying. It is a terrible combination. Combination.
Yeah. Obviously the Snyder era of DC movies has been talked to death for over a decade. We're not here to rehash any of that.
Yep.
This is the beginning of Zack Snyder's work with this universe and on this character. No one knew it was going to be anything more than just this. They just wanted to do Superman again in the shadow of the success of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And Christopher Nolan is slightly involved in this.
Well, I mean, he co-wrote the story.
Yep.
So Zack Snyder. So just really quickly, Zack Snyder directed it.
Stuff.
Yeah, Zack Snyder directed it, but David S. Goyer wrote the screenplay, and he co-wrote the story with Christopher Nolan. So Nolan was involved. He was a producer on it and co-wrote the story. He wasn't there all the time, but he was pretty involved.
Yeah. Do you want me to just say all the stuff I think?
Yeah, I mean, you should probably just say all the stuff you think about this movie that stars Henry Cavill as Clark and Amy Adams as Lois and Michael Shannon as General Zod and Kevin Costner as Jonathan and Diane Lane as Martha and Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. It's got a stacked cast. Russell Crowe as Jor-El. Yeah. Crazy.
This is what they this is what they would do.
Real stacked cast. Henry Cavill, who had been trying to play Superman for years.
Yes.
And not succeeding. Finally, he got the part.
He auditioned for Returns. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd been in it for he'd been in the Clark game for a really long time before he got.
And do you know why?
Coach
Do you
put
know
him
why?
in.
It's because he looks like Superman.
Yeah.
He's got the look.
Yeah.
So there's two big things that I'm going to say that are positive about this movie. One of them is that the first 20 minutes of this movie honks out loud. I love the first 20 minutes of this movie. Sure, it's still a little dour and a little Zack Snyder, but I love a bombastically out there sci-fi Krypton origin. I like a bunch of the little things of other parts of this movie, but like as soon as you meet Clark in modern time and then start flashing back to him as a child a couple times, is where it like really truly starts to dissipate for me.
Yeah.
My other hot take is that I think if it's not exactly true, because if you consider his Dawn of the Dead remake as kind of like an outlier before his real oeuvre, I think this is the best Zack Snyder movie.
I'll give a hot take.
Yeah.
I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is the best Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, no, that is also very fair.
And I don't like that movie.
Yeah, I don't like any of these movies, but
I think we can agree that it's Rebel Moon Part 2 is Zack Snyder's best movie.
Look, you're willing to admit, as I am, that we had fairly positive feelings about this movie when it came out.
I want to talk about that actually.
Yeah.
But you finish your thought, but I want to talk about that.
And we had positive because like there's so much in this movie that is stuff that we had been waiting to see in a Superman movie for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big aspect of it. Also, there's plenty of fun aspects of this movie, but it's not like Superman Returns where I can say that there's like 3 or 4 great scenes. It doesn't have great scenes.
Yeah.
This is true of a lot of Snyder stuff, in my opinion. It doesn't have great scenes. It has great aspects. It has great like takes of a concept, but it doesn't, but as a film, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like I said before, Henry Cavill looks like Superman. He's a very statuesque like vision of the character. And I think that in a lot of cases, he's a good actor. In this and really all of his appearances as Superman in this universe, what the hell is this guy? Like, this guy has no interiority at all. Like,
nope.
He doesn't have an emotional arc.
No,
like
the thing I was saying before about the 78 one, about how I found it unsatisfying when he suddenly becomes Superman. This one is worse. This one is so much worse because they have kind of shown you a little bit of his emotional state, because his emotional state is sad. He's sad. He goes places and he's sad. He gets odd jobs and he's sad. Then he loses the job because he has to save people, and he's sad about saving people. And he just doesn't like anything, and he's sad all the time. And then he finally finds out that he's an alien, and suddenly he's wearing the Superman costume and he's happy and flying around, and like there's no. And then suddenly he's Superman. Then he's Superman. Like then we go straight from all of that, him being sad and directionless and everything. He flies around in the cape for one scene, and then immediately he's hanging out with Lois, and he's like, I was sent here to protect. And he's so confident and he's so clear about his mission, and he is Superman. And it is so frustrating because you're right. There's nothing going on behind his eyes in the movie.
Well, not only that, but like some of the worst decisions in these decisions rippled through the rest of Zack Snyder's movies is like, he doesn't spend any time being Superman.
Yeah.
He becomes Superman and then goes right into the Zod situation.
Yep.
And so the thing that then causes trauma to the whole world and causes the plot of like the rest of all of the movies, there's no time. Like if he'd just been like catching bank robbers and saving a couple cats for like a little bit.
Yeah.
That's an oversimplification, but like it would have made more sense, the world's reaction to him, which ping pongs back and forth throughout this whole franchise.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Because
please.
like I just want to give an
Oh God.
I want to give an explanation for General Zod. So one of the characters that's been in the comics and been in the movies and stuff like that is General Zod. He was a Kryptonian, and he was imprisoned in the Phantom Zone, which is like an interdimensional type of thing.
Yeah.
He and his soldiers, who were also imprisoned because he tried to do a coup. And don't try to do a coup. Like that's just not a thing you should do. Just don't try to do a coup.
Especially don't try to do a coup in the process of a planetary collapse.
Yeah, it's just bad timing. But it was good for them because they end up surviving the blast. Like they survive the destruction of Krypton.
Yeah, they got sent to another dimension. Missed the blowing up.
Yeah, they come to Earth and they are like, we shall make Earth into a new Krypton, and we are bad. And also, we hate Jor-El. Come here, son of Jor-El. I forget your name. Neil before me.
Perhaps Neil.
Perhaps Neil before me, Zod. And so that was Terrence Stamp in Superman. Like he appears briefly in the 78 Superman. He comes back in Superman 2 and he's the main villain. And then in this one, he's Michael Shannon, who I would argue is the only perfect thing in this movie. I think Michael Shannon's performance is perfect from beginning to end.
A classically unhinged Michael Shannon performance that works perfectly for this character.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I got no problems with it. No problems with Michael Shannon in this movie at all. It's so good. Mm-hmm. So Zod is the villain, and it gives Zack Snyder a chance to have Superman fight a guy that he can punch and have a real fight with, and boy, they have a fight. And famously, Superman kills Zod at the end, which is... Everyone likes to say it's a very un-Superman-like thing for him to do, but that is from the comics. Like, Superman has only ever killed one person, and it was Zod, because he had no other options. Yeah. It haunts him to this day kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But to your point, it's not the first thing he ever did. And in this, it is the first thing he ever did. And he's not Superman. Like, how many times in that giant fight in Metropolis, while Metropolis is getting destroyed, I can't remember who it was that pointed this out, but like Zod throws an oil like tanker truck at him, and Superman doesn't stop it. He jumps over it gently, lands, and lets it blow up behind him. Like, how many people died from it blowing up like that? And Superman does not care about protecting people.
Yeah. Let me tell you, in my opinion, what is the ultimate problem with this take on Superman and all of Zack Snyder's stuff. This is a version of Superman that was created purely, like, it was for the people who for decades are the people who are always like, I don't get Superman, he's a boring dork.
Yeah.
Now, there's like hardcore like anti-versions of Superman that are fine and good stories and characters like unto themselves, but they're different characters.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, that's one of my biggest problems with this.
Yeah. My big thing about this one, because we got to move on, is that like, I do not like this movie now, but I really liked it when it was in theaters. And it was because I'd want, like you said this, like we'd been waiting so long for this. And this is what recency bias does. And it's why I'm worried that I can't trust my reaction to the new one.
Yes.
Because I really liked this one and I would have said it was really good. But even at the time, I wasn't like, it's not great, but it's got a lot of good stuff in it and I like it and it's good. Yeah. And like as time goes on, it's
problems
just
then.
Yeah. It's like as time has gone on, it's just like, oh, this is a poor Superman story. This is a Superman story made by people who don't understand the character.
Or who specifically don't like the character.
Yes. Yeah, actually, yeah. It's like some of them don't get him and some of them don't like him, and none of those people should be making this movie. Yeah. Where are we putting it? It's not F. Like, it's definitely not F. I think D.
Yeah, I would go D or C. So I'd say, yeah, you can put it in D.
I'm going to put it in D because I think it's a better movie than Superman Returns, but Brandon Routh's Superman is more Superman than the Superman in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
All right. We got 3 left. Now, this version of the character was introduced on Supergirl.
Yeah.
We talked about the Arrowverse, like the CW, like whole thing. They rebooted Supergirl. And they were like, oh, we're going to break out of the CW. She's going to be on CBS. And then it didn't do very well. So they brought it back to the CW.
Yeah.
And
integrated her into the rest of the universe. A very fun show.
In 2016, in the first episode of the second season of Supergirl, Superman showed up, played by Tyler Hoechlin. It was pretty fun, but it was like minor. He was in a few episodes, and that was it.
I think that they wanted to cast a Superman because for the first season they'd just done the thing where Supergirl just talked about Superman.
Yeah,
and he wasn't in it, and they were just like, well, let's have them like have a fun cousin relationship, and he just like shows up as a side character every now and then. We can do that, and they did.
Yeah,
and it was good.
But like it was good, but then he got his own show.
Right. That was after a couple years.
Yeah, and so that's what we're talking about. So in 2021, they did a spinoff, and they called it Superman and Lois, and it's not about them first meeting and falling in love. No, This is
Nope.
years later. They've got teenage kids. They've got
they're married and they have grown children.
Tyler Hoechlin plays Clark and Elizabeth Tulloch plays Lois. It's confusing. They have their sons Jonathan and Jordan. Jonathan is played by Jordan Elsass. And Jordan is played by Alex Garfin. I know that Jonathan got recast in the 3rd season. It ran for 4 seasons.
Oh, I never got that far. I didn't realize he got recast.
I didn't get that far either. I just I just read that
I'm gonna get
recast.
that far now because I'm gonna finally watch the rest of it. But
yeah. In this pilot, they decide to kind of they kind of acknowledge the Superman we've seen like appearing on Supergirl before, but they do take a chance to like start from scratch. So the whole first episode starts with like a retelling of the origin, but in a very kind of montage, poetic kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, here are the key moments of Superman's like childhood and becoming Superman and meeting Lois and marrying Lois and having kids and everything. And I'll go ahead and say this. The opening 15 minutes of this episode are magical and I love it. And it's one of the best Superman things I've ever seen. The rest of the episode is also really good.
The rest of the episode is like a really good TV show.
Yes,
that's a thing. Is like it's good Superman stuff, but the meat of the episode is in how good of a like TV pilot it is.
This is like up there with Smallville and Lois and Clark, where like it is an incredibly good pilot for a show. It was developed by Greg Berlanti and Todd Helbing. Greg Berlanti was involved in like all of the CW superhero shows. And it establishes this whole new story where Martha passes away in it, and Jonathan has been dead for years. Yeah. And so Clark and Lois and their 2 kids move from Metropolis to Smallville. And so it starts with them kind of uprooting themselves and starting their life here. Yeah. And like, his kids don't know he's Superman, and do they have powers? And in the whole first episode, we find out, like, they find out he's Superman, and we find out if either of them have powers, and all this stuff gets revealed, and we kind of, get set on a path for the story that's going to carry us through the rest of the season and forward. But, man, this gets so many things right, and it gets... I don't know that I would have cast Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch as Clark and Lois, but they have really good chemistry.
Yep.
And they are parents of teenagers, and they feel like Lois and Clark, who would be parents of teenagers, especially one who's neurodivergent. And I think it's a very restrained, kind of subtle look at them being parents. And I dig it.
I also dig it. I love their chemistry is phenomenal. Like, not just with each other, but with the kids too. I think it's fun how it uses the no Superman thing ever before has done he goes back to Smallville.
Yeah,
and that's really cool. Like, it's really cool idea. It's really cool. Like, Lois as a pure city person having to deal with moving back to a small town, and it's funny because it's like, I believe there's a whole thing there's very modern things in it where because Clark gets fired from the Daily Planet at the beginning, right?
I mean, it exists in today's world where newspapers are laying off people all the time, and the Planet is a newspaper.
And so the Planet is basically like, we can't justify paying both of a married couple, so we it's more humane to just fire one of you, It's just an interesting thing. And then grown up Lana is there with her whole family and her whole deal. And that's always fun. That's a really fun take.
Lois's dad is very pleasant. General Sam Lane, who we don't really hear about. We haven't talked about at all in this episode, but it's Dylan Walsh. And he is really fun.
He's very accurate to comics, kind of an interesting character where he's, you're not always really supposed to like him, but he's not a bad guy. You know?
I'm just going back to thinking about Tyler Hoechlin as Superman.
He's a really good Superman. The only thing I don't like about his Superman, the muscle suit.
Yeah.
I don't like it. They put him in a muscle suit. It's too muscly.
The thing about his suit for me is that with the muscles, and it's a little too close to the Man of Steel, to the Snyder suit. It's just with the muted colors and stuff.
Right. And then he also he didn't have the muscle suit on Supergirl, so I don't know why they did it here, but that's nitpicking. Yeah. It's really good. I'm putting this in A. You cool with that?
Yep. I'm more than fine with that. It is an entertaining ass show.
Real good start.
Yeah.
Then we go on to My Adventures with Superman in 2023. We're almost at the end.
Mhm.
And this is a new show. They've done 2 seasons of it. It's animated. It was developed by Jack Wyatt, Brandon Cloffer, and Josie Campbell.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's see a new origin for Superman. Let's see Clark become Superman. And it's a cartoon.
Mhm.
It airs, I think it airs on Adult Swim.
I always thought it was just on Max, but like maybe I'm wrong about that.
It's a cartoon. We've gone through every era, and this is very much the like modern, like we're going to do anime. Like
It's very anime influenced. Yeah.
It's very anime influenced. And it's about Clark and Lois and Jimmy, who are all interns at the Daily Planet. And they are all young, cool people. The first 2 episodes are a 2-parter called The Adventures of a Normal Man.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Quaid plays Clark, which is a fun thing you can do in cartoons because Jack Quaid could never play Clark in live action.
Yep.
But boy, is he a fun Clark in voice. Alice Lee plays Lois. Ishmael Saheed plays Jimmy. I'm not going to lie, man. I loved this.
Yeah, it's fun. Super fun.
It's so fun.
I like it quite a bit.
A real good show. I love how deep they go into like establishing a really like normal human relationship between Clark and his parents, between Martha and Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
The animation is beautiful and clean, and it's got a lot of life to it. It's just really funny. Like, this is a very funny version of Clark trying to figure out how to be Superman at the very beginning.
Yeah. I like it quite a bit.
I wish I had more to say about it. Like, do you have more to say about this one?
The only thing I have to say about it is like this one really got me thinking a lot about the comics and about in the early 2000s, Marvel Comics did this thing called the Ultimate Comics line, which very simply was a series of comics taking all of their classic things like Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the X-Men, and redoing the whole origins and the whole like kind of world of those comics for a modern audience who is starting now. So just kind of like a modern remake idea of a comic, basically. And in recent years, DC has been doing that quite a bit. They did the Earth 1 series, which had several like books of Superman Earth 1, which is what's basically like Ultimate Superman. And now recently they've done Absolute Superman, which is another very much kind of like an Ultimate style take on the character. And this felt like both of those to me. And I mean, honestly, there's like a little bit of the Man of Steel, Zack Snyder universe that feels like that too, where it's like, it is like a like modern, hardcore, gritty, you know, like it's kind of more the vibe. This isn't hardcore, like more hardcore gritty, but it's like, it's a complete like sci-fi, the whole sci-fi idea of Superman is remade in this. And I really like all the stuff with the Kryptonian technology at his parents' farm and like his interaction with that technology. It's different and really out there and cool. I also like how like a lot of modern takes on Superman deal with him like not being able to like interact with the technology because he doesn't speak Kryptonian.
Yes, that's a really fun aspect of it.
Yeah, and like all that stuff is like, it's just cool and things that have not really been done that much before, and it's super fun.
I dig it. Like, I kind of want to watch more of it now.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to watch it since it's been coming out, and I never got around to it, and I kind of do too.
I mean, I know where I want to put it. Where would you put it?
I'd probably put it in like B or A.
Would you accept A?
I would be happy to accept A.
I know I didn't have much to say about it, but it's because I'm just feeling very guarded about it. And like,
we've only seen the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
you know?
but I don't have anything bad to say. Like the version of Clark they show, like what I'm looking for in all of these, I am looking for a Clark that feels human.
Yes,
and
definitely.
This gives us an incredibly human Clark.
Yep.
Because that's what I value. Here it goes, up in A.
Cool. Here we are at the end.
F.
F, no Batman.
So this is written and directed by James Gunn, who did the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. Got to start at Troma. He is now the head of DC Studios.
He's handed the keys to the whole universe.
And he finally cracked Superman. He was like, for himself, he was like,
Not a very James Gunn character.
No, not a very James Gunn character at all, because he did the Suicide Squad, and like he writes a lot of characters who have no problems killing people, for example, and lying.
Usually have a large amount of trauma and are broken people because of it.
Yeah, and Superman is like, he's the opposite of so many of those things.
Yep.
He would seem to be the opposite of so many of those things. But James Gunn was like, I figured out how to do it. Now, I am a big James Gunn fan. I'm a big fan of his work. I think the Guardians movies are the cream of the crop when it comes to all the Marvel movies.
Yep. I don't think he's ever made a bad movie.
Yeah, I really don't think so. And I love how he like spent so many years being like just an edgelord online, trying to shock people and make really terrible jokes that he ended up like getting fired from the Guardians movies for. But like he makes movies about love and kindness and family and empathy. And he seems to really care about that. I just think he has such a good understanding of how people work and how to write good, compelling characters. So he made a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And he cast David Corenswet as Clark and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois and Nicholas Hoult as Lex and a whole bunch of other people. Most of the other people are his friends because that's how he rolls. Real good friends with Nathan Fillion, so we put him in it too. I want to talk about recency bias for a second. You know, I just said this a second ago. You know, if we were doing this episode when Man of Steel first came out, I'd probably put Man of Steel in A or B or something like that. You know, I'd be like, it has its flaws, but boy, man, it was good. It was good. And now, like, time has given me clearer eyes.
Yeah.
So recency bias is a thing.
Absolutely.
That being said, I think I've made a decision about this new Superman.
Okay.
I think I've decided that I love it. I think I've decided that it's the best Superman movie ever made.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell you right now, when we get there, I'm going to make a pretty hard case for this being in S tier.
Okay.
And will my opinions change as time goes on?
Maybe.
Maybe. And you know what? I'm saying it right now. I will accept whatever future me decides. But me right now, all I know is that it came out 2 days ago and I've seen it twice already.
Yep.
And I adore this movie. And in so many ways, it is the Superman movie I've been waiting years for. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I would love to hear your thoughts because we have not really talked extensively about this movie. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it live. Let's do it.
I also love this movie. Or at least I really, 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 really like this movie.
Yep.
I think there's probably like one or two qualms that I have, but like that almost makes it better. You know, it's important to not need to have a perfect your perfect idea iteration of the character on screen in every way. That's how you wind up with the Snyder Cult. But I can't, like, my qualms in this case currently do not matter. Maybe that'll change over time. I think that the humanity of the character in this movie is unparalleled.
Yep. No, I mean, I think it is paralleled. I think Dean Cain in 1993 and Tom Welling in 2001.
Yes, it's so well done. The only qualm with it that I will voice right here, right now, it's not even a qualm that I have with it. It's that I worry that it's like maybe a little overstuffed for casual audiences.
Hang on, wait, what?
That's all I'm gonna say. It's like maybe it's a little like it's like a little much for, you know, like I want it to like appeal to the masses too.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with where it goes on the list or whether it's good or not. You're talking about
agree.
like business strategy and shit like that. Like I want it to do really well because I want more.
Yeah.
But come on.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right.
And also,
it doesn't
is it
affect those things.
Is it overstuffed? Yes. It has too much stuff in it.
It's full of too much stuff that I love. Yes.
Yeah, like the problem I have is not that it has too much stuff in it. The problem I have is that it's not long enough.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not long enough. It's that I could have sat in this world for another hour.
We want more of everything that's shown. Yeah.
We get very little Clark at the Daily Planet in this movie. He's only Clark at the Daily Planet for one scene at the beginning. Yeah. And then he's Superman for the rest of it.
It's kind of a magic act that it pulls off where we get very little Clark at the Daily Planet, but we get just like a good amount of Lois and Jimmy at the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
So like it kind of like it doesn't lose the Daily Planet crew-ness of it, although I wish we had more time with the whole crew.
Yeah.
But Lois and Jimmy, that's like the right amount.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And the thing that makes it okay is that this movie has such a clear idea of you said it, like such a clear idea about the humanity of the character that it doesn't matter that he's not dressed as Clark that much in the movie. He's a very human character who is very like he wears his feelings out on his sleeve the entire time, and he has a lot of feelings, and he talks about his feelings. It's exactly the emotional feeling human version of the character that I've been wanting for years. And we finally have him in a movie. Yeah. James Gunn seems to have figured the character out in a way that makes sense for him, that allows him to make a really fun movie.
Yep. Okay. I'm gonna say this next thing, and I'm not trying to get too weird, but like this is one of my like Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, probably the only other one that even comes close to matching this aspect that I'm going to talk about now.
Are you going to get into some science? Are you going to talk about some science here? Are you going to talk about some chemistry?
Yeah, perhaps some sexy chemistry.
Yeah.
Between Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
there's a good amount of that in 1993's Lois and Clark.
Yep.
But like there are so few live action this isn't exactly true. Like there's been tons of good examples. Mainly it's that the chemistry between Lois and Clark in the Snyder films is so particularly bad.
Yeah.
And that's not any of the actors' fault either. That's mainly because I think Snyder doesn't know how to do anything with romance involved at all.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think James Gunn understands people and Zack Snyder doesn't.
Yes. But more than just good romantic chemistry, I just feel like this Lois and Clark have like the spark, you know?
Yeah.
Like not only like a romantic and sexy spark is how I'm going to say about that.
Like if in other versions he falls in love with Lois because that's what the plot demands, because Superman is in love with Lois Lane, this is one where it's like, no, I'm going to actually try to figure out what does chemistry between these two characters look like. And, you know, Lois and Clark in 93 did that. Yeah. And this one's doing it too.
Doing it real good, I think. The other big part of, I think, both of our love for this movie, in my opinion, is the James Gunn of it all, where like it's super fun and funny.
Yeah.
And yes, it straddles an interesting line between goofy and then getting like kind of very serious at times, you know. But like I like that because I like that James Gunn style. Like I like that aspect of his whole vibe. And so I like it here.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that well. And I think he can do it very well.
James Gunn makes movies about feelings. Turns out feelings are sometimes goofy and funny.
Yeah. Turns out sometimes those feelings are ha 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 ha.
Yeah. And sometimes they're
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Crypto the Super Dog. Oh my God.
Yep. I've been talking a lot on this podcast recently about being the owner of a bad dog. You have as well.
Yep.
That's why, as the ramp up to this movie, we were both getting very excited about that, because I was like, I feel seen. And also, I love Crypto. He's one of my favorite fictional animals ever created. I dressed as him for Halloween one year. I looked incredible.
I believe it.
I love him. And it's no different in this film, especially since he is essentially my dog if he had superpowers. And that is a nightmare to think about. So... Yep. Accurate.
You brought your dog? Yeah, I didn't want him to kill my parents' cows.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. I want to put it in S so badly.
Jeremy, we're putting it in S. Look,
yay!
Let me say this. I wanted my gut instinct was to treat this the way that I treat to treat S tier the way I treat 5 stars.
Yeah.
Ratings on Letterboxd. Is that I don't think that you can put something in S tier a day after you watch it. Like, I think that that's crazy. I think that that's irresponsible. And that's most of the time true. But here's the thing that I always have to remind myself with that rule that I imposed on myself. It's a dumb rule that I imposed on myself, first and foremost. And second of all, it works the other way around too. There's things where I go through year by year and change everything that I want to change to a 5-star from 10 years ago to a 5-star. But there might be some things that in 20 years that I change from 5 stars to less.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And so right now, yes, recency bias, very much a thing. But we love this movie. It is the perfect Superman for us right now. Not just you and me as men, but us as a society.
Yes.
It is the perfect Superman for everybody. Shut up. I don't care what you think, other people. I love it. and it is absolutely S tier.
I'm really happy. So I don't think we're going to do quadrants on this one because I feel like people don't make Superman. Unless you're the Salkins, I don't think you make Superman if you don't care about Superman.
Yeah,
And
I think everybody who made every single one of these like cares about Superman.
it's easy to care about Superman. He's so much fun. And we don't need to say whether they're successful because we have these tiers. But what I will do is I'm just
Also,
going
we've been recording for 4 hours.
I'm going to run through the rankings really quickly for those who don't have this visually. In F tier, we have 1973 Super Friends, 1975's It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman,
The musical.
1988 Superboy, and then in 2007 Superman Doomsday. In D tier, 1948's Kirk Allen movie serial, Superman and the Mole Men, and Man of Steel from 2013. In C tier, the 1952 Adventures of Superman series with George Reeves, the 1988 Ruby Spears animated series, and then 2006 Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. And no one's problematic in that movie. In B tier, this is where I feel like we're probably not going to catch any flack for any of this stuff, but because we're not those people. But if we were going to, it would be for B tier. Because in B tier, we've got the Fleischer cartoons from 41 and 78's Christopher Reeve Superman, but also the 1966 Filmation series. In A tier, we've got Superman the Animated Series from 1996, Superman and Lois from 2021, and My Adventures with Superman from 2023 and currently running. And then in S tier, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Smallville, and this year's Superman. And I feel really good about this.
I feel good about the whole thing.
Well, this has been Adapt or Perish. If you'd like to find us online, head to adaptorperishcast.com. There you'll find our email address, links to the show on Mastodon and Blue Sky, and more. We're also on Patreon at patreon.com/adaptcast. You can join our Patreon page for free to get general announcements about the show and news about current and upcoming episodes. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can join at a paid level to get access to our bonus show, Adapt or Perish Plus, and our patron-only Slack community. You can also support the show by telling a friend about us, leaving a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice, and visiting our bookshop.org storefront at bookshop.org/shop/adaptcast, where you can purchase all of the books we've covered on the show. Part of every purchase will support us and a local bookstore of your choice.
Up, up, and away, everybody.
I love Superman so much.
I do too.
Hey, everybody. If you made it this far, here's a little present for you. This was something that Ari and I recorded in 2014. I think we were about to sit down and watch the Christopher Reeve Superman movie. It was Ari's first time. I decided to ask Ari what they knew about Superman. And we had to go back and I had to record it. And now I give this as a gift to all of you who have stayed through this entire episode.
Okay, so tell me
You're
what...
recording me like I'm a 3-year-old
Tell
on
me
one of
what-
those YouTube videos.
Tell me what you know about Superman.
Here's what I know about Superman.
Okay.
He can fly.
Yes.
He wears a cape.
Yep.
His name is Clark Kent, and when he wears glasses, you can't recognize him.
Yep.
He has a girlfriend named Lois Lane, and she's a reporter.
Uh-huh.
He changes into his Superman outfit in a phone booth.
Yes.
And I do know that he can fly, but as I said before, I'm not sure what he does when he's Superman.
Okay.
I can only assume good deeds.
Okay. And do you know where he's from?
So I think I might be getting two things confused because
Can you say what you said before? So where's he from?
Mars.
Okay.
But I know that's not right. He's not from Mars. But I think he's from Earth originally and got sent to a different planet, like in a space capsule.
Okay.
You're gonna laugh at me, but I believe the planet's name is Kryptonite.
Okay.
So I guess it's maybe like, is it an asteroid that he comes from? Like he was sent in like a space capsule, but I think he was born on Earth. But like in Iowa? Yes, because you went to the place that's the birthplace of Superman, so he is from Earth, right? In Illinois or Iowa?
Go on.
Okay. His parents are dead, and so now he's back on Earth, and he lives. Uncle Ben is coming into my mind, but I think that's Spider-Man.
So do you know where he lives?
He lives in New York.
He lives in... Okay. Where does he work?
He works at the newspaper.
What's the newspaper?
He works. He's a reporter.
For what newspaper?
The Daily Globe.
Okay.
Is that right?
No. Who's his nemesis?
Oh, I don't know. Does he have one?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm trying to picture. Literally, like the only image that I have of him is like flying with his arms out in front of him in a cape. But I don't know what he's going to do when he gets there.
That was beautiful. So this is going to be educational.